Welcome to Chronic Curiosity, where we have real conversations with real people, from everything to anything, in attempts to facilitate dialogue with our fellow humans, and hopefully your curiosity as well as ours. If you can withstand the show, we ask, most importantly, that you tell your friends and family, but also you can pick up some merch or just donate to the show at chronic-curiosity.com in USD or Bitcoin. If you feel so obliged, you can give us a good rating and follow on whatever podcast platform you so choose. But please feel free to reach out to us on the website or the socials, which can also be found on the website, chronic-curiosity.com. And here we go.
Hydrated enough.
Yeah.
There's some water in beer, right?
Oh, that's got to be.
Yeah, there's got to be
It's
some.
the base of all fluids.
Not Corona. That ain't water.
Just straight piss.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, like I said, there's no structure or anything. If you listen to Ryan's episode, it's just here we are.
Yeah.
So, but I do appreciate you guys coming. Josh Helman, Chad Buehler, Ryan Richardson.
That guy.
I won't give you the nickname. It's fine. I like it, but yeah. So obviously when Ryan was on the show, we talked about the studio and the tattooing and all these things. So obviously you guys are a huge part of that. I don't know if you guys want to.
I'd say a much bigger part than. Yeah.
Let the shit talking begin.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe this wasn't a good idea.
No,
Chucking nooses already.
Yeah, he did. He's like, what if? He's like, I can get the guys on. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. He was like, seriously? He's like, that sounds like a terrible idea. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. He's like, it'd be chaos. I said, sounds like a great idea. I'm here for it. I'm down for chaos. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. How did? I guess maybe we can start here. How did the shop even come to be? How did that whole thing get started?
In order to tell you that, I got to give you a little backstory.
Give me all the backstory. We got as much time as you want.
I knew after high school, like I'd went through all this stuff. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do really. So I went to EMT school. I worked odd and end jobs. And then I ended up airbrushing. I was like, this is something artsy. I get down with this. But everyone's like, well, you're not going to make any money doing art stuff. That's what a lot of people say, And I was like, well, airbrushing seems like it's pretty profitable, whatever. So I met a guy through that he tattooed. And he talked to me more about, like, I grew up in a very conservative family. So tattoos were like, no, bad.
The devil.
The devil, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm still interested. Like, tell me more. And the more we talked about it, I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to do this. This sounds cool. And so anyways, I learned how to tattoo from this guy. He lived in Canton. And after that, I got my first job at a shop in Wadsworth. I'm not going to mention any names or whatever, but absolutely made me hate tattooing. Like, It was one of those shops where, like, you got bad vibes. There's one really cool dude that worked there, and he helped a lot. But other than that, I was like, I'm done. So
what was it about that gave you, I mean, you don't have to, like, go into details, but just what was it about that gave you bad vibes?
Just the way the shop was ran.
Yeah.
I thought you said bad vibes.
They're like laundering money out the bag, and like it's a trap house, whatever. No, it's just the vibe you got from the shop. It wasn't very clean. It wasn't well put together. The owner did really shady stuff. It's like tattooing was already kind of like taboo to me.
Right. So
even though I was branching out into it, yeah. So it's like, oh, this is what it's all about. I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah. No wonder my parents told me it was the devil, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But after I took like a year off, and my wife, she kept pushing me. She's like, just do it. Like, you need to do it. Like, she's like, either go work at another shop somewhere, find a shop you like, or open your own. I was like, I don't know. But the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? If I do open my own shop, like, I know enough to run a shop and everything. Like, I at least have that. And I can make it everything I want it to be. I don't have to worry about it being shady or, people feeling weird in my shop. So that's how it got started. I opened the shop in 2014.
Was there any prostitution there?
Can't talk about
Ah,
that.
You missed the
Well, let's go into
debriefing
secrets,
before.
bro. Jeez.
Not allowed.
Yeah, so it was rough getting going. Like I literally started on my own. I didn't have any plans for anybody to come in. I'm like, it's gonna run it, and then these dudes came along. Like they hit me up and they're like, hey, yeah, I think we could work here.
So that was 2014 you started it, and when did you start, Ryan?
Josh actually went first and then called me over to his house because I was working at another shop. And he's like, hey, come over and hang out. And it was all just some fucking ploy for him to talk to me and try to talk to me about work.
Like, let's get drunk tonight, and I'm going to persuade you into quitting your job and starting over here.
Yeah, and I went down and checked it out and talked to Chad. And I didn't know him up until that point. And then it was just like, all right, like this place is nice. Like, yeah, we'll just run it. And then, so I think you started there in like August or something. I started in like September or something like that. Of
Yeah, like
14.
a month after.
Couldn't even tell you.
Yeah,
What year? In the,
2014.
oh, so you guys from the get. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a.
And we were just talking last night. It's like, dude, you realize it's almost been 10 years.
It's wild.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's went quick.
Yeah.
It's went really quick.
Yeah. There's definitely been ups and downs
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
It's with any business, you know what I mean? Like, and I think I mentioned it before. It's like when you put a big group of, especially artists together, our brains are like weird. And, you know, so you're going to have clashing and like trying to find a group of people that can actually like coexist together and not actually kill each other.
Mhm.
It's pretty hard to come by. Like I've been to, you know, I've worked in, this is my third shop. But I've been to other shops and you can just tell like these people hate each other and they
Right.
come in and do their job and they leave. We're like, we actually kick it together all the time.
Mhm.
We go do stuff like our kids hang out. Like it's definitely different. It's more of a family than like a,
Yeah. That's
the
one of
job.
the things I'm most proud about the shop is like we've even had other artists and shop owners say stuff about it. Like,
yeah,
you guys don't really seem like a normal shop. Like, you guys are more like a family. I'm like, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
It's
Like-
not a bad place to be.
No,
Yeah.
like, don't mind seeing each other every day.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes Josh is like, yeah, fuck you, dude. Like,
I need my space. I need my space.
So how
about your face?
So how did you get started in this whole thing? Tattooing and this.
Shit. So I had a pretty fucked up upbringing. My dad would like take me to tattoo parties and shit. And it was literally me watching my dad pay people to draw on them. And I was like,
I try to bring the thing a little closer.
oh, my bad. But I was like, I can fucking draw on people and get paid for that. And so my one buddy came back from the Marines and he bought like a tattoo kit. And I was like, yeah, let me borrow that. And then the funny part happened. I was talking shit about Ryan, and I was like, this is a tattoo he does in a shop. This is what I do sitting in my fucking basement. And then Ryan's like, oh yeah? Well, why don't you come work at a shop, see what it's about? And I was like, fine, I will. And then since then I've been working in a shop with him. We've actually been working together for a real long time,
Yeah.
from like the beginning.
Yeah. I was literally like, I don't remember if it was Facebook or MySpace or what it was, but I saw it posted and I was like, this motherfucker, like I thought we were cool. And he's posting them up side by side. Like, okay, dude, come on in. Like, I'll get you a job. You come in and let's see if you got it. And he came in and then it was like maybe, I don't know, 6-8 months later, I ended up leaving that shop. Left him there. I was like, all right, dude, cool, catch you later.
Dick
And then
move.
we-
Dick move.
and then we just,
It wasn't even a shop like I wanted to like really be at. And
Well,
I'm like,
you're supposed to be my buddy
I'm
here.
fucking
Yeah.
here because of you, and you're bouncing out after a month of me being here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So did you have an apprentice? Or did you just like
yeah. I did 2 apprenticeships because the first one was not an apprenticeship, and I didn't learn a damn thing. So
Yeah.
I restarted it at another shop, and I guess that's how that went.
Yeah.
12 years later, I've progressed. He still hasn't. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah. Like, I pretty much stayed the same the whole time.
like with your
Just awesome,
knives,
right?
like look at your first knife here, and it's
Yes.
like you can see the progression, and it just worries me because still not seeing it.
Well, I mean, somebody see, because I've seen you guys were both recently up at Cleveland.
Yeah,
right?
Yep,
And
yep.
you guys won a ton of
awards, and
Yeah.
then shop, it seemed like it did like just great across the board. Like,
Yeah.
how, like, I guess we talked about it, but that was like the weekend before.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
it was the weekend
when you were
before,
here.
yeah.
So how did that whole thing go? Like, how was that experience this time?
Man, so
Wild.
the year before, everybody's coming off of COVID, so like it was like one of the first shows back. It was the first show in Cleveland after COVID, so not a lot of people. Like, there were still a lot of people that came to it, but a lot of artists were still kind of like, we don't really know, like whatever. And then this year, they showed the fuck up. I mean, it was tough. Like,
Yeah, it was.
it was
The
tough.
competition was
Yeah.
definitely there.
But I mean, I don't know.
It's like
So you guys seem to do well. I mean, I saw
Yeah.
all the pictures of the awards and everything you guys were doing, and the art, and it's just
I think what it is like the part of like being at a convention that pisses me off is like I know that obviously if I got second place, first place is a killer tattoo. But I'm still gonna be like walking around like I want to see what won first place. Fuck that person. But really, that's just me. But really, I'm like, you fucking killed it.
Yeah.
But I'm just pissed at myself because what else could I have done better?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when we're at home, like obviously every day you go in and tattoo, like you want to do the best that you can. But when we're out at a convention and we're like representing Worcester and it's us, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
put on your game faces. Like your boys are coming to play. Like you guys better bring your shit because we are. Like, and yeah, I mean, sometimes it works out for us, and sometimes it's like, all right, well, we're gonna take this L and learn some shit and come back stronger next time. But
I turn into a whiny bitch. I do. I swear to God, I do. Like, Ryan and I each, like the convention right after COVID, we each took home 10 trophies. This last one, we each took home like 4 or 5 trophies, and I was like, wasn't good enough. I was like, I'm going home. I'm putting on an old Garth Brooks album with a loaded shotgun and a box of tissues, and I'm sitting in a dark room for the next couple days.
yeah, I mean, it's always like, the judges always change, like at the competition, like at the at the conventions, they'll have like 3 judges for whatever. So like the people will walk up, show them the tattoos, and you can enter healed stuff or like fresh tattoos that you did there.
oh, okay.
So I mean, it just depends on who you get for judges and what they're looking for. You know what I mean? Some people look for different things, and I'm sure they have like their own like set criteria, that they're supposed to go off of. But everybody, it's art, so everybody's kind of like subjective to it. And then you're looking for, hopefully they're looking for just like all around solidness throughout it, like good line work, good saturation, good blends, good.
That's what I was gonna say. How do they judge? Like, what are like the other categories? Because you realize like you see these sports and you're like you see people do things. You're like, man, that person killed it. But then it was like, well, they didn't do this right and this right and this right.
Yeah.
Even though they did something that's more complicated and turned out better, like because they chose something more complicated, like they didn't score as well.
Right.
Like, so how is that kind of the same way with tattoos?
I've never actually seen a judging sheet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. I haven't either.
It's got to be line work. It's got to be color packing or saturation or like.
But they also do categories. So like there's like you go to big conventions and there's always the one person that tattoos some girl's butthole, and just because you can enter it in like the strange and unusual category, and you're winning a trophy, so it's just
like a nice starburst or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Then girls got to go up there in front of all of the people and all of the judges and bend over,
Spread her butthole.
and then there's always some creepy dude at the end of it when she walks off stage like, hey, that's hilarious. Can I take a picture of that? Show my friend. Like, well, we get it. Get out of here, dude.
How many
What are you
dicks do you
doing?
have? Do they have like dick tattoos? They do that too.
Yeah,
Is it
I mean, if it's whatever.
how many times does that happen per convention?
I've only seen same girl. It was her vagina. She got last year, and then the year before that was her butthole. And so I was like, "You're just going for all the spots, aren't you?" Like, holy shit!
Maybe it feels good.
I don't know.
Or she needs the attention. I don't know.
I don't know. It's pretty wild.
Maybe it's both. Who knows?
That's
There was one convention though. It was like the funniest shit because Ryan did a tattoo that was insane. It was so good, and one of the judges Ryan didn't even get a trophy for it at all. And one of the judges came up to him afterwards and was like, "Hey, can I see that tattoo you did? I didn't get a good look at it." And I was like,
I just looked at him like,
"You're the fucking judge, dude. What do you mean you didn't get a good look at it?"
It blew my mind as soon as he said that. And I saw what got first, and I was just like, okay. And I didn't place it all. And he's like, dude, that's really good. Let me check that out. I didn't even get to look at it. And I'm just sitting there like,
It blew my mind. I was like,
so obviously we don't know how the judging works.
yeah. I mean, it's always different, and it depends on the show. Like some shows are way more put together. There was one that just failed not too long ago, and they had a lot of people mad.
Oh, that one down in Florida.
Yeah,
Ink the Bay.
Yeah.
What happened?
They didn't have electricity for like the first couple days.
Yeah,
I feel like that's probably
There was
pretty
I
big deal.
I wasn't there, so I don't know like all of it, but it was bad.
I
like,
saw the video that Dirt posted. It was like usually there's curtain walls that go down the center of each
pipes and shit to hang your banners and
like tables and all that stuff to say shit on, and like there's none of that. It's just like random tables scattered around, like, hey, tattoo.
Yeah,
and
without electricity.
Right.
they were
paid
doing
for 24 hours of electricity.
Oh, you guys didn't bring a solar generator?
And
What?
so the competition was being judged with flashlights from people's phones.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's not. And it was supposed to. Obviously, you guys have heard about it. It was supposed to be like a semi-large event. And
It was pretty much the Fire Fest of tattoo
I
conventions.
was about to say, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It was pretty much.
Did
that.
somebody make money on it though? Like, did
Oh,
somebody
the
get
promoter, absolutely. But
Yeah,
he
it's
like invited a bunch of like big names in the industry. Like told them, "Hey, I got a booth for you. It's free. It's on me." And then when they got there, he didn't have a booth for them. And they were
didn't
like,
booths at all.
they were like, "Yo, dude." And he's like, basically, shut the fuck up. It was free. And they were like, "See, it wasn't just free because we had to pay for flights. We had to pay for our clients to get here."
So, sometimes conventions get a little hairy. Did you tell them about our first year at Ink and the Clink and the whole tent thing?
no.
Oh man! So we were super excited to go to Ink and the Clink. This is incarceration now, but back then when it was under other ownership, we get there for the first time. We're super stoked to tattoo in a prison. We're like, this is cool. And then he's like, so I kind of forgot to put your booth on the roster, but I got this tent outside.
He's
We're like, oh, let's take a look at it. So we go out there. It's a grass floor. There's like wind and shit blowing underneath the tent flaps on the side. The lighting sucked. It was hot. We're like,
big
no.
ass fan.
As
just
soon as I
blowing
went in,
dirt
I was like,
through
"Hey,
the
dude,
whole
where's our
thing.
booth at?" And he's like, "All right, now listen. What happened was the flooring plan.
What had happened
when they
was-
mapped out the floor, the math was off, so there weren't enough room for the booths. But just follow me, and we go outside, and there's this tent. And soon I'm like, not a fucking chance, dude. And he's like, well, and he's such a good salesman. That's the thing. That's what he's. He's such a good salesman. He's like, well, listen. The thing is, this is where all the traffic's going to be. This is where all the people are going to be because you have to walk in the front gate and come right past this. This is where you're going to make the most money. And trying to upsell it. And this dude standing beside me was like, "You're right. You're right." And he had a booth. He
This
had a
hype
booth.
man over there.
Yeah, he had a booth inside. And I was like, "Well, dude, if you want, you can sit out here and we'll take your booth inside." And he was like, "Yeah, dude, all right." And so we took that guy's booth inside, and then I went outside later to check on him. And
Miserable.
He's
Miserable.
They have a giant fan just blowing air. All your stencils and everything are just going everywhere. People are sweating the designs like the
I was gonna say,
stencils
how
off.
does that? I feel like outside tattoos is just a
Oh,
bad
man.
idea.
And I walk up to the dude and he's like, "I really shot myself in the foot with this one, man. I think you were probably right." And I was like, "Yeah, idiot.
What do you
They
think I gave you
stormed
an
the
idea?
one day and water's just like pooling in.
Oh yeah.
All their equipment's
all your
just got
equipment's in a
dust
tent.
all over it.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh man.
I was like, it can't be sanitary.
I don't know how the health department
I
approved
have
this.
No clue.
It had to have been after the health department left that they're like, "All right, pop that tent up."
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how does that? Do you guys know how that works with like? Because you figure, you think about like getting a tattoo, and it's like, all right, it's a very intimate experience.
Yeah.
But then it's like, hey, we're gonna do this giant convention. So I was
Especially
like,
if it's your butthole.
particularly if it's your butthole.
Drop your drawers and touch your toes. I'm going to show you where this tattoo goes.
So like, does there like different things? Obviously, for the shop, I'd imagine there's is it like, do you guys get like health inspections like restaurants and stuff do?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
how's that
Kind
for you?
of, it's not as intensive as like food services. But I mean, it's a good inspection.
Every convention you go to, you have to adhere by that area's health department.
Yeah, the county,
So-
whatever county you're in.
Yeah, so like Florida, when we went to Florida, you have to actually get a Florida tattoo license. Like even if you're only there for 3 days, they make you actually get a Florida tattoo license. Then after I got it and we went there and didn't like the show, whatever, they messaged me like 6 months later and were like, hey, you have to pay this fee to keep your Florida tattoo license. I was like, bro, I do not live in Florida. Like, I'm not paying that. I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Ryan also didn't like that show because he broke his foot day one.
That's
Oh,
true.
was that
That-
the
that's one
one
of
you
them.
broke your foot? I
yeah.
remember that vaguely, but what happened?
3 days of no sleep and basketball.
No,
That's the whole thing.
we got there. We were there for like an hour, and we just started drinking. And I was just playing. We were playing pig or horse or whatever in the driveway, and my ankle. I landed on it like on the curb, and it just as soon as it hit, I was like, oh no. And they're like, oh, you're fine. I'm like, no, I really fucked myself up. And nobody believed me until the next day when my foot is huge and all my toes are purple. Yeah. And then I like send my woman at the time, I like send her, I'm like, hey, I called this Rite Aid, like they have crutches, like I need you to get me crutches. She goes to get me crutches. Is gone for like 4 hours with all the girls. They go shopping and shit. They come back and she brings me this little fucking pimp cane. And I'm like, what are you doing? So I have to hobble around Florida with a fucking pimp cane with a broken foot.
She's carrying him down the beach on her back.
Yeah.
Ryan's like,
That's what happened. That actually happened. Oh,
Dude,
okay. I wasn't sure.
I got pictures.
We literally pulled it. It was only for a split second, and then as soon as I looked up, Josh turned around his phone. I'm like, all right, this motherfucker, he did this shit on purpose. Now, where we parked at, it was like just this long beach that you had to like walk through to get
She's
to the
like
water.
trucking with Ryan as a backpack. And I'm like, hey, everybody, look at Ryan.
Yeah, super cool.
We were jumping, like, we had a pool at the, like, B&B that we got, and we were jumping off the house into the pool, and Ryan was, like, scaling this house with his little pimp cane. And, like, jumping off with a broken foot into the pool.
Everybody,
Yeah.
I know.
He's like, front flip. I'm like,
I climbed up to the top, and then it's like, well, there's only one way down from here. Like, everybody's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm not gonna not do it because my foot's broke. I'm not coming here. I'm not gonna let this ruin my time.
you can't break it twice.
Yeah.
You can't.
I don't know about that. I feel like you can.
Yeah.
We were in convention mode. Your boy came to play. Right? That's what it was.
That's awesome. How much travel have you guys done? I feel like, Chad, you've done a lot of travel for different reasons.
For different reasons.
But
yeah,
how
yeah.
much for like tattooing? And I want to get to that too, because there's some pretty incredible pictures that I've
Yeah.
seen that you take.
Yeah.
But how much you guys travel? Like, how far? Like, obviously you said Florida, but you've gone like west and like,
I've went. Well, actually, I just got asked to do Colorado again, but it's in. I think it's in July, and I just have too much stuff going on. I won't be able to squeeze it in. But I did Colorado last year. I've done New Orleans. I mean, I've been all over the place. I got one in New York coming up. Flower City. I don't even know when it is. It's on my calendar somewhere.
There ain't no flowers in New York.
it's pretty gray up there.
Yeah.
I've been there one time and it was crazy.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh?
I have like 5 coming up and that's like enough for me for the rest of the year, and then I'm pretty much whooped. But me and Ryan and I, we usually try to go everywhere together just because it's simple and we're always on board. But
buddy system, makes
yeah.
it easy.
Yeah. But lately, like we've just been trying to pick up every single convention, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, we kind of got lucky. Like, there's a lot of, good people that are putting on shows in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we don't really have to go as far, and like, because they're from Ohio, like we know them well. So it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'd love to do your show. Like, or, they'll ask us if whatever. And, that makes it cool because it's like, it's more personal. Like we do like a lot of the Villain Arts shows, and they're put on by this dude Troy, and he's awesome. Like
he's the dude.
all his shows
He's fly.
they're put together so nice. It's like you go to some shows and it's just a chaos. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But his shit's always together.
Yep.
It's just like, but it's like a circuit. So like it'll start. and then it just goes from city to city, and it never stops. Like, it just goes year round, and it just one city to the next. Sometimes there's 2-3 conventions in the same month. And some of the people live on the circuit. Like, that's all they do is they travel from city to city. The one year I did 14 shows, and I was just like, this is just too fucking much. Like, but it
Like
was
you
just,
get home and leave the next
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
you
I
almost
went-
have to like live on the road.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to what was it? I went to Cincinnati normally when I go a day early, and then I'll leave that Monday after. So it's basically like 4 or 5 days. So I went to Cincinnati and did that show. So it's basically like a week. I went home for 2 days. I went to Wheeling, West Virginia for a week, came home for a day, and then went to New Orleans for a week. So it's like basically the whole month, like I'm not even at my house. It's just like, and I mean, it's cool. Like traveling and meeting everybody and everything. It's so much fun, but then it's also very like taxing on you. And it's just like trying to figure out, like at first, when you're doing them, you don't really know the in and outs of traveling like that. So it's a lot more expensive, but the more that you do it, you figure out little ways that you can like save money and like,
little tricks and shit.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
right.
Like we,
Like getting an Airbnb next to a methadone clinic.
yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah.
I feel like there's a story behind this one. Yeah.
he always picks the worst fucking Airbnbs.
He's so full of shit.
We'll be in the hood. We were in like the straight up hood, like shit you see like on movies and shit. Like I walk out the front door and I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is happening.
No, yeah, the one it had really good reviews and everything. Everything looked good, and then we got there and it was literally across the street from a boarded up methadone clinic, and we were like, oh no.
The last one in Cleveland had 9mm shell casings on our front step.
Right, but the dude didn't want us smoking outside the front door. Like, you need to go around back for that. Like, are you serious? There's trash everywhere. There's
That
9mm casings on the ground.
That wasn't even the weird part about
Maybe he
it.
just didn't want you to get shot.
Maybe it's just
That's
good
what
looking out.
I told him.
Like,
That's what I told him. I was like, dude, I'm guaranteeing that it's not because he doesn't want to smoke out front. He doesn't want people to know that we're there. He
Right.
doesn't want he
Right.
doesn't want the neighbors or somebody to see us out there and like just. But there's like there's
Rob
this,
you.
yeah, there's this big boulder like where the Airbnb is. There's like the road that pulls into it across the street from the Airbnb. Like it's literally like. Just like this little alley on the other side of it, there's this big boulder with an old school black and gray little TV just sitting on this rock.
mhm.
And when we got the Airbnb, that was one of the pictures that they posted.
Right. We're
for the
scrolling through.
Airbnb.
Everything looks fine. It's like, ooh, pool table, cool. Look, what the hell is that?
Hope you like
It's
art.
just a random
Yeah.
like
TV
Yeah.
on a rock.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the ones with like a
You should have
dial.
known.
Yeah, yeah, the
You
little
probably should have
knob.
known
It
at that
was-
point.
it
Like
was
something's
like-
fishy
It's a
here.
little head
Yeah.
right there. Yeah.
And immediately book it.
Yeah, this has character.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's the
Yeah.
character.
Yep.
I've been to some really awesome ones though. I mean, we've had some really cool ones. We've had our fair share of ones that aren't so cool. But either way, it's an experience. It's, it's like you get there and it's
As
like,
long as you
well,
make it out
we
alive.
didn't die. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, we have a good
Yeah.
story about it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end of it though, by the end of like a long
Oh, yeah.
weekend, I'm like, man,
Home.
I miss my dogs. And by that I mean like my friends and my canines. And I'm like, I gotta get home. I'm trying to eat some just disgusting food and do nothing for a couple of days.
I can imagine it'd be exhausting because you guys are be tattooing probably what all day long.
Yeah.
Mhm.
From like noon to 11
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah,
That's
3
brutal.
days in a row.
And that's the thing. Like when you go, we have to pay to be at the show. And then, so, like we split whatever that cost is. Then you have to pay the health department fee. Then you have to pay for whatever your Airbnb or wherever you're staying. Then you have to pay for your gas or your airplane or whatever to get there. And then you have 3 days to work your ass off and make all of that money back and come out on top.
Mhm.
So you hustle.
And then 11 o'clock Sunday night, after you get done tattooing 3 days in a row, tear everything down, pack it up into your car.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
the worst
like-
part.
Yeah, it sucks.
I just want to hire somebody to be like, all right, look, handle all this. I'm going to sleep.
You just need a setup and breakdown crew. You
Yeah.
show up, you tattoo, and you leave.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you see groupies.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah, we
Roadie-
got our
roadie
women.
slash
They just-
groupies.
See,
they slack it.
groupies turn into apprentices. And we can't.
Uh,
You can't.
or ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. So you do more than just tattooing for art in a sense. I would say as well.
Yeah, photography was my jam for a while there. Yeah.
So and we saw because maybe I'll say this. I'm not saying that I know this, but I got told this enough by my wife. We need a van. We need to do this van. We go. I just look at his pictures. Look at this. Like why can't we do this? I'm like, well, because we have a 9-year-old and I have a job.
I can't count how many times I've been out like at a bar or something and it just gets brought up and I'm like messaging Chad, like, send me pictures of your van. Send me pictures of your van you built.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
so.
It was.
you even have a wood stove. There's a wood stove.
Dude, that got the most compliments out of anything on that van. Like, we pull up somewhere, it's like, what's that pipe coming out of your roof? And I remember I was at a gas station one time. This dude's like, what is that? I was like, oh, we're just cooking meth in here. He's like, what? I'm like, no, dude, it's a wood stove. He's like, get out of here. So I showed him, and like, yeah, everyone want to check out the wood stove.
That's pretty cool.
But I ordered it. It's a cubic mini wood stove. It's out of Canada, and they're made like for sailboats and stuff like that.
Oh, I never thought about that.
They that was a smaller one. They make a little bigger one, but it worked really good. I mean, it would heat that van up in no time.
Yeah, I can imagine. It doesn't take much to heat that small of it. Where you get the wood at? Just along the road whenever you're out there, and just like, you chop. You could. Like, hey, we're cold, so I'm just pull over and cut a tree down.
So that was the thing. So like the van had a lot of wood in it. I looked into propane heat, but propane heat, produces moisture. So I was like, that probably isn't good. And then I look at those Webasto heaters that like they can do gas or diesel. They run off your tank, and those are really expensive though. So I was like, I'm just gonna get a wood stove because I can literally burn anything, like to keep warm.
That's a really good idea. How many did you just think of that, or is it something that you just saw that somebody else did?
I think I did see someone on YouTube. They had like an RV with one in it. I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah. So I just like went straight to their website and started researching. And
I never thought about that, putting a fireplace inside of a van.
Yeah,
it keeps it dry though too. I would imagine.
I mean, it's sketchy. Like, okay, I gotta drill a hole in the roof. Like a big hole, and
brand new van. And
Yeah.
he's just cutting a hole out of them, and I'm like, this better work out, dude.
When he's like, showing us the van as it's coming along, and then like you see it done, you're like, get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
Like,
there was times where I'm like, you fucked up.
When he got rid of that, dude, I've never wanted to kill him that much in my life.
So it's gone. So you're not doing that anymore.
I sold the
Look
van.
at the disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
He sold it. Yeah.
Rusters.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I can afford it, damn.
After COVID hit and stuff, we really weren't traveling.
Mm.
Plus, I got more back into tattooing. Like, I kind of took a year off almost. I tattooed a little bit, but I was gone a lot. And
Yeah,
Well,
people would stop in the shop and be like, is Chad here? We want to talk to him about a tattoo. We're like, we literally have no
He's
idea.
in Alaska.
He could be in
Like-
Maine.
Yeah,
We don't know where he's
in
at.
Ontario
Like,
somewhere.
Check
Well,
his
that's
Instagram.
I mean, when I first started getting the tattoo that years ago, and it was like, oh, this guy owns a shop, and it's like he's never around. It's like, well, then you look like, oh, well, he's
right.
out traveling in a van with a wood burner in it. Like, this is awesome. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Actually, the methadone clinic.
Yeah, I
You
slept
ended
in the
up
van.
sleeping in your van because he's like, yeah, I feel safe in here.
He wants to be able to get out quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how people take pictures like that. I don't. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
I have bad anxiety, so photography was totally released for me. Like, when I was out there, I wasn't thinking about anything bad. It was always just like positive vibes, and that's what kept me hooked to it. I was like, wanted to be gone all the time.
Yeah, well, you're a good photographer. I'll give you that.
Oh, thanks,
That's
man.
phenomenal. Yeah, I just remember she was. It was constant. Like, look at this one. Look at this one. When are we getting a van? Look at this one. I'm like, well, do you want a goat or do you want a van? I'm not sure which now. Like, because it changes. And we can't have a goat and a van to travel.
Right.
You settled on chickens then? Is that
Yeah,
what
we
that-
got chickens. Yeah.
Ryan.
Well, they're a little easier to take care of. We could take vacations with them, but
Everybody loves some nuggets.
yeah, eventually. Oh, yeah, they're going to be. I'll probably have to cry when I eat them, but yeah, the eggs will be good.
Right.
Yeah, that's super cool. So what got you into the photography? Just
I took photography back in high school. Cass, didn't you have a photography class with me at Smithville?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So I always liked it, and I I got to be friends with my my now good buddy Zach Sheehan, and he's always been in photography, so he taught me a lot, and like we actually went on a lot of trips together and stuff. So that's the guy that got me into it. And
Yeah, it isn't. It's one of those things where like people look at something like that. And it's like, what? You're just taking a picture. Like you're just clicking a button.
right.
But it's realizing that like
Right place, right time.
and like all the settings and all the different things like you have to know with the lighting. Like it's just like you know any art form. It's like
it's super weird at first, but once you get used to it, then it's just like you do your thing.
It's just a donkey in the middle or a mule in the middle.
That was Assateague
there.
Island out in
He
Maryland.
put that there.
It's just like
There's
I got
these
some-
wild horses running around. I thought they were going to be like these majestic, big, muscular horses running the beach. No, they're like miniature ponies. They're cool though.
That's super cool.
That's the coolest thing for me about photography is like every time you take a photo, you never forget like where you were, what it was like, what you were doing. That was down in the Florida Keys. I was in Key West. That was the worst trip for the van because no AC and it was like 89 degrees.
Oh, there's
out.
no AC in it. Huh?
Yeah.
Why no AC?
I just didn't have the power to run it.
Mm.
I had solar on the roof, but yeah.
Oh, because is there AC while it's running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I
It
could
was
get
just
the van cooled down with the van's AC, but as far as just like
External.
secondary,
Yeah, and people never think about that either because it's like you can't run the thing the entire time
right,
because you only have so much gas, especially
Yeah.
especially trying to travel now.
right. Yeah, it's
you ain't
wild.
making it very far, but
Yeah,
that's super awesome.
nice dude.
Yeah, it's the whole art form and things that like you don't understand until you get into it, and like just even I guess having a tattoo or tattoos and understanding like what goes into it. I know that I don't understand what goes into it. Like I know just enough to know that like I have no idea what like the art that's behind like doing what you guys do and like the photography. It's like I've tried to take a picture. It's like I don't keep pictures because I take a picture. I'm like that's looks like a cell phone picture, but like it's neat to like capture that and to attempt to understand all of that like the passion and the drive and the learning and the work that gets behind something like that. I don't think people appreciate it until you try it or,
Right.
You get a tattoo and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a whole different thing than what I
Yeah.
thought it was.
And that's why it's nice. Since last time I was here, we cut a giant fucking hole out of the wall of
Yeah,
the
we
shop.
did.
I saw that just the other day.
Yeah.
It
It's all
looks
one
like
now.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, like now it's just we can interact more and kind of like push each other more instead of walking all the way around the building. It's just like I can look over and see Chad, and he can look over
yeah.
and we can
Yeah.
bullshit
Nice.
back and
We
forth.
can talk
Yeah,
because before we felt so cut off.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like-
it seemed that way too.
Yeah.
Your side, our side, like East
Yeah.
Coast, West Coast.
right.
Yeah, it seems like I have the feng shui, if that's an
Yeah.
appropriate
Yeah.
term, is much more appealing now.
Yeah, it and like we had talked about last time how it's like us bouncing back and forth, but like how does this look? All of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Well, now he doesn't have to walk with his client all the way around the building. It's just like, hey, how's this look? And
You can roll over. Hey, look at this.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because we talked about that. How much that like you said, you guys feel like a family, and you can sense it even as a customer there,
Yeah.
where it's like there's this vibe that there's not like it might be like a competition, like a friendly competition.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
obviously
Absolutely.
talk shit
We're always
constantly,
pushing each
Yeah.
other.
but it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
that like that real interlocking of like, hey, like what do you think about this? And it's all of a sudden you can tell like the tone in the room changes where it's all right, we're done talking shit. Like, no, I'm gonna help you out. Like it's
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
half a second later, I would have done it better though.
Yeah.
Like, you suck.
Yeah.
You still fucking
you-
suck.
Yeah, you
though.
Yeah.
we definitely do whatever it takes to like help each other out. But it's like if I look over and I see Josh killing something, I'm like, all right, motherfucker, it's that day. Okay,
Right.
it's time.
Run it.
Let's get it. Yeah, I mean it's good to have like a friendly competition like that, and like Josh and I do two different things majority of the time. Like
Yeah.
I mean I've seen him do some awesome black and gray stuff, and I've done some fucking cool color stuff, but we don't really do a lot of it that much. But it doesn't really matter. Like I don't need him to know exactly how I do everything to know whether or not it's a good design. you know, he can look at it and be like, no, this doesn't look right to me, or, you know,
Take that out.
or, you know, do what, like the jellyfish thing, blow it the fuck up, make it bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That jellyfish was fucking awesome.
Yes,
It needed to be
I
blown
loved it.
You
I
could
love
just
that
see, you could see, like, it looked like it was already planned that the jellyfish, like the little tentacles or whatever, were meant to flow down. And I was like, dude, blow that shit up. Make that the tentacles coming down. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
It turned out well.
Yeah.
And it's neat too to see like an artist and your own like characteristics and personality coming through the art. And like I would talk about Ryan, like my sister, like is an artist, and she does like, and the more and more I get to know like different artists, you see like, oh, like Josh has this thing that he does really well, and like it's this style that's like, oh, as soon like I'll be scrolling through, you know, my whatever Instagram or Facebook, and I'll be like, I'll see tattoos pop up or whatever, and it's like, see some of your color stuff. It's like, oh, that's Josh, without even reading your name. It's like that's his style, and like so it's neat to be able to like see that and understand it. Like I just don't know where that comes from. That whether it's the person's like personality or like you just have this like niche you end up working into. It's really neat to see people develop in those areas.
Yeah, and sometimes like you don't even necessarily plan for it. It just happens. Like when I started tattooing, I didn't plan on being like a black and gray realism person. Like I loved drawing neo-trad, and that's what I did for a long time, was like my own little busted ass weird neo-trad shit. And then
what's neo-trad?
it's like you know, the Sailor Jerry, the old school tattoos you would see. It's like a new version of that. So they're just more
traditional.
yeah, they're just more
A little more high def or something.
updated. You know,
New
Yeah.
colors, like like the traditional color palette was
Like 4 or 5 colors.
yeah, it's like if old man Ed at the shop, if I fuck around and put in and I'm like, oh, I'm doing a traditional tattoo,
Yeah.
and then I use like a color, a purple in it, he's like, that ain't traditional.
Because they
He's
have
like,
purple.
Yeah, it's like
was
purple ain't a traditional color, and I'm like,
Eventually
okay,
was,
yeah.
Yeah, Neotrad, you can get down with any color you want.
Yeah,
I
so
got
like
you.
the top right corner is a good example. It's still a woman's face, but it's stylized a lot.
All the way-
You know what I
okay.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's
It's also line weights. You're gonna
yeah,
have your thick
you have
lines,
you have
thin
line
lines.
work. Like when I do realism stuff, I don't put a lot of actual lines in it. It's more of just
It's all
like
shading and
yeah, but with Neotrad you have a lot of lines, like actual lines and
Very
solid
distinct.
color fill and stuff like that. So but yeah, I mean I didn't plan on doing that, but that's what everybody kept coming back to me for, and it was just okay, well I guess this is what I do now. Like it wasn't, it wasn't like
It
this
just
is what I
happened.
do, and then like I kind of tried to build off of that. But when people come to you and that's, like I enjoy it. I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. But it's just not where I saw myself. But you can't just be like, no, this is what I'm going to do from the start, because you really don't fucking know. You're kind of just, when you're starting out, you're kind of just testing the waters on everything. Try to soak up as much as you can and then see where you fit in,
right. Well, it was interesting as a customer. I've never, just honestly, it's dumb. I'll admit how dumb I am. Because I have, obviously, you guys, I have like half of my torso essentially is tattooed. And until I was halfway through the piece, my castle piece you just did for me, I was like, you know what? I don't even know if this is like what he would be doing. Like if this is like his style. Like, and I felt like halfway through, I'm like, I'm a complete asshole. Like I never even thought about that. Like it'd be like, maybe I should I would I liked you and you did really good work because I think that's because like for Cass, and it was like, oh, well, that's good work. Like I'll go, and I haven't had a tattoo in a while, and this is the only connection I have. But it was like, oh, like this might be completely opposite from like what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Like
one of the go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like at the shop, we don't take anything on that we're not comfortable with. So if we're doing it, we know we can do it.
Yeah,
we're cool with it.
Literally what I was
Like
gonna
we
say.
like money, but
Right.
right.
also I don't
Big
like dealing
fans.
with somebody afterwards when I'm like, look, this wasn't my style. You wanted me to do it?
Yeah.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
It's not my fault you wanted me to do it.
One of the main questions we get asked is like, do you ever turn anything down? Like, you ever tell anybody no? Like every day, all the time. Like if somebody comes to me and it's not my jam and I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Like back in like when I first started, it was like, okay, you got to survive. You may, you're like figuring stuff out, and it's not exactly the greatest thing, but I was fucking young. I didn't know, It's like, well, let's give it a try. But now it's like, okay, no. If we know that somebody's going to do it better, push it to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that way when everybody leaves the shop, they leave with the best tattoo possible. It's good for the shop. It's good for them. It's good for everybody. Like, I'm not making the money off of it, but me sending them to somebody else, they're going to be like, hey, I appreciate that. That was the fucking right thing to do. They fucking killed it. And then they're going to tell their friends, and their friends are still going to come back, and maybe I'll get something out of that. Maybe I won't. But like, at least they leave the shop with a good note in their head of like, yeah, that was the right thing to do, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Because if you see something and you're like, I do not want to fucking do this, then you just don't.
Right.
Actually, recently there was a design. I was working on it. It's on this dude's back, and he got it done in Florida. You never get a vacation tattoo.
Ever.
We'll dive into that, but you never get a vacation
That's a
tattoo.
terrible idea. I have one.
People don't. Okay.
The idea wasn't necessarily bad, but doing it on vacation was a bad idea.
Well, it's the thing. The thing is the artists in like vacation destinations know that they're never going to see you again,
Right.
and so they don't really give a shit what your tattoo heals like, what it ends up looking like when like they're getting paid and they're not going to see you again.
They know that you have money because you're on vacation. They'll just take your money, give you a shitty tattoo, push you out the door because they know that you're never coming back for a touch up.
Yeah, I mean, luckily mine was small, but he was like, I remember being in there like and like him like pressing on my skin, going, it's probably okay, because I was in Florida.
Yeah.
I was in Florida, and I had a little bit of sun. He's like,
Yeah.
it'll be all right.
Just
I
a
lost
medium.
almost all the color out of it. So it was
Imagine that.
like,
Yeah.
imagine that. Luckily, it was a small piece, but
Well-
it was like he did a really good job. Like he was good, like because it's a lot of parallel lines.
Okay.
So like it's a ton of like parallel lines in different colors that like fill it out, and it looked really good. Like he did a good job, but it probably shouldn't have been done at that point in time.
Yeah.
It was like, well, you live and you learn.
So this guy had a big tattoo on his back, and vacation tattoo, and he wanted me to fix it, and it was color, and he wanted me to do like this like little bit of realism to it. Well, I tattoo anime. If everything I do is going to look like a cartoon. I can do other shit, but I prefer what I like. And Ryan's watching me like work on this, and he's like, do this, and I was like, why don't you just fucking do it? And he was like, I will. And I was like, okay, motherfucker. Well then, cool. So I hit up my dude and I was like, hey, Ryan feels way more comfortable with this than I do. Like, would you be cool with that? And he's like, yeah, I mean, if he's going to do what I envisioned, cool. So Ryan ended up taking it on. Now here's what's good. We were on our way to a concert and the dude calls him and I hear Ryan saying all of the things that I was saying was the problem. Like, this card's not going to work. It's just not going to happen. And Ryan's like, now it's setting in like, holy shit, I took on something that's a little tougher than I had anticipated. And I'm over here just like, okay, like, this is good. This is good. But then he ended up doing it and killed it, made it exactly what the dude was envisioning. And
the night before that, before we went to the concert, I guess, Chad came over to the house and I sent him the picture. So we're sitting at my dining room table and we both have our iPads. I send him the picture and we're both sitting there just like messing with different things. Like, well, what if we do this? And what if you do this? And like just bouncing shit back and forth. And I just got so frustrated. I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to do it. And he's like, honestly, dude, like if you don't think that you can pull it off, then don't do it, you know?
Right.
And
I'm sitting over here like zooming in on something like, Ryan, why the fuck did you take this on? Like,
because it was not only was it like, it was also a cover up. Like there was something on his back and then they put something over it.
It was already
a cover up.
Yeah.
And it was already coming through it. And so it was a lot of work, but then I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I got this. Just run it. Like, you know what you're doing. Just fucking do it. And I did. And it turned out pretty fucking dope for what it was. I mean, it's not my like original style. And if I had to like redesign it, I definitely wouldn't have done it like that. But that's what he had. So, you know, going back into it and bringing it back to life and like seeing when it was done, it was kind of one of those things where like I do it and then like everybody looks at it and they're like, this motherfucker. Okay. All right. You got it. But it was a lot of work. It was long.
I can imagine.
And he hated it towards the end. He was not having a good time.
yeah.
Oh, so you did all one run.
Yeah.
I
It's
saw him
like-
at the end. He's like,
the video of like Ryan's taking him like the completed tattoo. The dude's just like,
right? All shook it up.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I don't. How long? Do
Shock.
you remember how long it was?
It's like 5.5, 6 hours, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to be like, tattooed. It doesn't bother me. Whatever it is, like it doesn't bother me up until about 3 hours and 15 minutes is where I'm like, no, like
I can sit pretty well, but it's just once it gets to, and I've only had lately pretty tough areas tattooed, but it's normally about 3.5 hours to when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking murder somebody right now. Like, but once you get to that point, it kind of sucks. And then I'll tattoo people and they're sitting there and it's like, you are a fucking badass. Like, I don't know if anybody's told you yet today, but you are fucking killing it. Like, thank you for sitting still and letting me do my fucking job, because some people it's like,
yeah, it's just
it's hard,
Do you have any numbing gel?
Yeah.
no. I mean, my whole mind the whole time is going, all right. Like I even like think about my breathing, because a lot of times, because I've had a lot of work done like on my ribs, and then like on the same area of my back. So I'm like, all right, like he stopped. Oh, he's gonna start again. And like how slowly, like
every time,
it's like I don't want him to like mess up or like jam that thing too far.
You'll feel people holding their breath.
Yeah,
and it's like, listen, like you're gonna hold your breath and pass out. Like you hold your breath because I'm tattooing. I can tattoo longer than you can hold your breath. Like do not do that. Like you're going to die.
It's gonna make it hurt worse, anyways.
Yeah.
How long do you get? Is that like a typical like time span that you guys have seen too? Is like that 3 hour window where most people kind of start tapping out? Like
it just depends on the person. It's all. Everybody's different.
Yeah. Like I just blasted on and did shin the other day for what, like 6.5 hours?
Ooh,
maybe 6.
Good God.
Yeah, I was like,
On
dude,
the shin,
you're a
too?
fucking champ, man. Like I couldn't have did it.
I've been tattooed by Buehler, and he's a tough dude. So when he's like wiping your tattoo off, it's like me wiping, Buehler wiping.
he's like sandpaper.
And I'm like,
these big ass hands, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
He's
my
got
own strength.
gorilla mitts on him. And he's like, all right, let me wipe this off. And I'm like, he's pulling me across the fucking room.
The worst was during COVID, like the price of gloves skyrocketed.
Oh yeah.
So
I
we
didn't think about that.
we used to be able to buy a case of gloves for like $60 to $80 for a case. Okay, then it jumped up to $250 for a case, and we were like, "What the fuck? Like, how do?" And people were bringing us gloves, like our clients and shit. Like, it's just dropping
Nurses and shit. They're like
people are dropping off these gloves. They brought us these bright, like neon orange gloves called Tiger Grip, and the problem with them is they had like bumps, like
too
grip
grippy.
on them. But when you're tattooing somebody and you have that grip, like you're stretching skin, and even if you're not trying, you're still
wiping the gloves across. It's
like
sandpaper.
oh shit, like I feel so bad, but like yo, like it's shit got rough for a minute, man.
I wish I would have known. We like during that whole thing, like my company was like sent like we'd get like a package of gloves and like hand sanitizer monthly. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with 3 gallons of hand sanitizer? As a one person,
God.
like all these gloves, like I would have dropped some boxes of gloves off.
Well, that's the thing about it too.
That would have been such a help.
When you're,
Thanks.
I still got them if you need some more.
I might take you up
As
on
the
it at
price
some
come
point.
down,
when,
let me know.
You can't just cheap out on gloves either. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like what you do. Like if if you're cross contaminating, you need to change your gloves. You got to get rid of them. It's not like you can just be like, well, I don't have that many gloves, so I'm just gonna use these ones the whole time. Like, no, you're changing your gloves.
Next is the needles.
Probably even just to set up, you're probably changing your gloves five times just to clean and wipe shit down.
And there's like cheap, like me and him would order gloves, and I'm like, I found these gloves. They were only $160 for a case. And then we get them in, and it's like fucking trash bags on your hands.
see through them, like you see your knuckles.
And like the thing is like when you're pulling a line tattooing, your hands got to be able to slide across the skin. These gloves there was something wrong to where like your hand was like,
yeah.
So I'm like trying to pull a line, and my hand's like skipping, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm about to fucking freak out, dude.
And, I mean, some of them, you'll get them, and it's like the whole case. It's just like one bad box. Like you put them on, and as soon as you put them on, the glove rips, and you're like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Throw it away, pull another one out.
15 gloves are all melted together.
Yeah.
Cool, $250.
We used to do this thing. It's like so that purple transfer paper. Like when you make a stencil, it comes on purple, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that paper, you can take that and just take a knife on the purple and just like shave that purple into like a powder, and then you just dump that powder into somebody's glove and put their glove back into
I see where
the
this is
thing.
going.
So they put their gloves on, and then they'll do the tattoo or whatever, and then by that time you sweat so much, take it off, and your whole hand is purple. Like, and that shit
stencil
does not
doesn't.
come
Yeah, it's
off.
on there.
Yeah.
He's got purple hands.
I poured black ink into Ryan's glove one time. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. As soon as I put it on, I felt it like, It's just like,
I always try to go with like colors that are like real tough to get off the skin, like purples or like concentrates, and I'll be like, just.
Yeah.
He put a note. This was fucking gold. He put a note, or was it you or was it Voshel? Put a note in one of my gloves and put some ink in it. So that was just dumb because immediately I'm like, well, there's a fucking piece of paper in this glove. I'm not going to put this glove on. But it said, "You're dumb."
Yeah,
But "your" was spelled wrong. And so I'm like, no, you're fucking dumb.
we went through this thing where we were just fucking with each other and we would just write "you're dumb" on everything. And like the one day I like pull out my scissors and I'm like cutting my stencil out, and as I'm cutting it and the scissors opened up, I saw it said "you're dumb." And Buehler wrote it on. I was like,
That's a good one.
Good. That was so good because when they're
Like,
closed,
you
you
can see
can't
this
see
right
it, but as soon as you open, I was like, all right, that's good.
See, that's hilarious. I'm not a practical joker. I don't like practical jokes, especially played on me. But that one's okay. That one's funny. That one's good. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about just having walk around with a purple hand for.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And because I hand stencil all my stuff, like I always get purple on my hands from like, and then I end up with purple on my face, and nobody will fucking tell me. Like, nobody will say anything. So like I'll be walking around for half the day with like a purple smear on my face, and people are just like acting like it's fine. Like even my clients, like most of the time they don't even say anything.
Is that watercolor?
And it's just like, why the fuck would you not tell me that I have a giant purple mark on my
Is that a
face?
new
Like,
tattoo?
thanks,
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
It's abstract.
Yeah.
You got to at least be. You can't do too many practical jokes in that setting. I can imagine at least.
But you can.
I mean,
They can
well,
get
at least the dangerous ones. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you know that giant mirror by my station, like where I tattoo, there's like that one big stand-up mirror. Well, everybody that comes in, they think that that's a walkway at first. Because when at first glance, it looks like you can just walk through it.
How many people
Listen.
face planted?
Couple,
Listen,
yeah.
this
I had a client. I was tattooing her daughter, and she's like, "All right, well, hey, I'm out of here," and I'm like, not even paying attention, just tattooing, and it's like, dong, and I'm like,
so loud.
her
So
full
loud.
makeup print was on
Yeah,
the mirror,
so loud.
and she just like.
It's like, I swore that was
hit
a
it,
door.
and she just like turns around. She's like, "All right, see you," and just walks the other way. And I'm like,
we had to laugh, like it was hilarious. And then, like Buehler's on the other side of the building. He thinks that we're over there fucking around, so he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it like wasn't us at all. It's this woman just bashing her face into the mirror.
she rocked her.
It sounded
shit,
like
dude.
it broke at first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't believe it didn't. I had a kid that I was tattooing. He was a tall dude. He was a basketball player.
Yeah, big boy.
Big tall dude, and I put the stencil on his arm, and just the stencil, whatever. Tell him to go over the mirror and like check it out, make sure it's straight and all that stuff. And while he's doing it, he starts like going closer to the mirror, and I thought he was like going in to look at it. No, he had passed out. His eyes were up in his head, and he was just falling and bashed his face into that mirror so hard. And I was just like,
drug it down the mirror, like,
yeah, like left a streak down the mirror, and I was like, oh no.
What did he pass out from?
It's most people that pass out. It's just your nerves. Like
Okay.
they don't know what to
Just
expect.
the anticipation.
He's like
Yeah,
holding his breath.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're just so nervous. You don't know what to do, and like once your brain gets to a certain point, it just shuts down. It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yo, dude, like it shuts down. They pass out. Most time, if you're tattooing them and it happens, it's like the first 5 minutes. And
Cool.
Then they're gold after that.
Yeah.
It's usually just
That's-
once,
Once
and
they
then they're
realize,
fine.
their
Yeah.
brain realizes it. How many? Like, have you ever had to like call like the EMS or something? Like,
no,
No.
no. Most time they, there's like precautions or like
Elevate their feet, give
yeah,
them some sugar,
yeah,
and they're fine.
Yeah, give them some sugar. Yeah.
a lot of people ask for
cold rag
water.
or
They're like, "Can I get
something."
some water?" It's like, "Oh, you're not feeling right."
Take a couple
"Not
selfies
really."
with them when they're passed out.
Shit. Damn, I should do that
That's not-
actually.
Oh no, is that a dick on his forehead?
Yeah, well, you gotta stay hydrated. I always bring my water with me because I know it's.
Yeah.
Is that what's the frequency of? Does like that happen more often? Like people,
I feel like it
With
happens to me
It's-
more than
it's so
anybody,
much with
dude.
him.
they're like, well, it's because we talked about. It's like this 16-year-old's gonna start tattooing me. This is weird.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know what it is, man, but it always happens to me. Like, I've had so many wild things. I had a girl pass out and pee her pants one
Oh
time.
no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
no good.
But
He didn't tell me because he knew.
listen,
If I knew,
handled this
I was
shit
going to be
a
like,
G.
oh!
Yeah, because it was like a packed shop. There's a ton of people in
Oh.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm tattooing her, and all of a sudden, like, she I'm tattooing her back, and I can just see the color like start to leave her back. And I look around, I'm like, she's going out. She passes out, and she kind of does like sometimes they'll do like a little seizure type thing, you know. And her husband was there, and he's like,
He was a thug.
yeah,
he was
he's
such
like-
a thug
he's
about it.
Like, hey, I think she peed herself. And I look down in the chair, and I can just see like piss like rising up, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed all my paper towels and like shoved them down to like soak everything up. And then like when she woke up, she really realized what all had happened. And I just looked at her like, be quiet. And I looked at him, and I was like, you're going to drive up to Walmart. You're going to get her a new pair of pants and anything to change into. I was like, and you're going to go into our bathroom, and you're just going to stand there, and you just wait for him to bring you those clothes.
Because if Josh knows.
Yeah.
Because Josh knows.
You don't want to mortify him in front of everybody. You know what I mean?
for sure.
So,
That's
like,
super. That's
so she went into
really
the bathroom,
awesome. Yeah,
and
he
he
handled it right.
brought her the clothes and everything. She changed, and that's the crazy thing about it is like she came out with a whole new fucking wardrobe, and nobody even noticed.
I didn't notice at all.
Nobody-
I was
So
pissed
she
at
came-
myself.
She came back in, and I finished the tattoo on her, and then like
That's
they're like,
awesome.
all right, thank you, and then they left, and then after I was like, hey, did you see what happened? He was like, oh yeah, she passed out, and I was like, is that all you saw? And he was like, yeah, and I was like, hell yeah,
yeah.
because you don't want to like.
But
embarrass
now
her
he'll be
behind
like,
that.
hey, heads up. The chick that pissed herself, they're going to be coming in today. So don't bring that up. And I'm like, first of all, that was
Yeah,
years
no.
ago. I was never going to bring that up. Like,
I forgot about it
Yeah.
until now.
Thanks.
yeah.
No R. Kelly comments, please.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Sometimes they don't even pass out. Like Ryan had this older lady; she's getting tattooed, and the way the tat sole chairs are, they're like have a rectangular base, and
Oh my
as long as the
God.
chair's facing that rectangular shape, the weight's balanced. But as soon as you rotate the chair, so it's like teeter tottering on each side.
He must
Like,
kill this woman.
Yeah, she just straight like fell out of the chair, just like the
An
whole chair's like.
elderly woman?
And
She's
listen,
like 75.
it's her, I love her too. She's like a friend of our family.
The whole
She-
chair flipped,
Yeah,
and
and
I just
she-
see a
she
75-year-old woman, and I'm
Oh,
like,
and busted her head off the Culligan water machine we had in there, and I was just
Yeah.
like,
she stood up and was like,
shook it
good.
off. She was a G about it for sure. Yeah, and I love that woman. She's such a nice girl.
She's a nice lady.
Yeah, she
I
is.
am always concerned about that, like, cause like, you guys have really nice chairs in there. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but like, I also realize like I'm not like a small boy,
Yeah.
you know, and like putting weight on some of those, I'm like, I'm one of these times I'm gonna totally spill. Ryan's gonna accidentally like shove this thing in my eyeball because I'm gonna knock him over, and it's gonna be all bad.
Yeah, I had to start telling people like, look, when you get in a chair, put your weight in the center, like, because you'll have people try to sit on the legs.
Yeah,
or
they
something.
try to slide
and then the
down
whole
the
chair
legs.
just wants.
yeah.
These are not
to get
attached.
off, like just slide down the legs, and the whole chair wants to like, nope, don't do
Yeah.
that.
Because you have to be able to move around because you can't just like bolt them to the ground because you use the area
Yeah.
for different.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
There was a deaf girl who was she was like most of the way deaf, couldn't really hear anything, and he just like drew on her arm a little bit,
there's a rib cage.
or was it her ribs? Yeah, he's like drawing on her ribs, and like as he's drawing, she just
Out.
I swear to God, I've never seen somebody hit their face off the ground like this. Like
He-
this is like not to be a dick, but I feel like she could probably hear after how hard she hit the fucking
jeez.
because she's just standing there and was like straight onto her face.
The only thing that saved her from really fucking herself up was when she fell, the legs of the chair were like out a little bit, and it just hit her leg enough to kind of slow her down and put her body into a different direction other than straight flat.
Oh man,
Dude, I was like,
And I
I don't get shook like that, but I saw it and I was
when
like,
it happens, like it happens so quick. Like I'm just paying attention to what I'm doing, drawing, and all of a sudden you feel it start to lean, but that's it. And by the time that you realize what's happening, there's nothing I can do. I can't I can't just He-Man fucking grab her or something. Like it just doesn't work.
and I'm over here like screaming, "Are you okay?" Because I'm like, she is just looking at us like we're crazy, like, and I'm like, I don't know this. Like, are you good? It was wild.
Sometimes it's not even the client that you're tattooing or whatever. It's like who came with him. They're the ones that'll get squeamish.
I've seen that too.
Really?
One of the funniest memories I have from when I worked in Wadsworth, there's this lady that came in with her daughter to get a piercing. And she saw her daughter, I forget what she got pierced, but she saw her daughter get pierced. And then she's like, I need to go outside. So the mom starts walking out and she does a quick little shuffle and then down. And all I remember is she went face first into the glass door that goes outside and there's a dinger on it and went, dun, dun. I was like,
no.
Oh shit. Like she came to me, I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. I fucked up. Like, I'm fine. And, I was like, are you sure? Yeah. Okay, whatever. And after they left, I was like, like, oh man, that's funny.
Well, it's hard because like seeing the video, like I told somebody this the other day. I said, you know what? I said, not that I want it to happen, but if I see a video of like a little kid like going over the handlebars of a bicycle or something like that, like I'm watching it and I'm fucking laughing.
I was so worried about being a parent for that reason because that shit is so funny to me. Like every time I see it, I'm just like, oh damn, that kid got fucked up. But then like, you know, when it's your kid, it's like, oh shit, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like once you're okay, then it's funny. But you know, it's like that split second of like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, when you see it in person, it's like, oh, because I've seen like even like walking in a grocery store and you see, you know, some elderly lady or something catch her foot on a brick or something like that. It's like, oh, like that's And then when they're okay, it's like, guess what I saw at the store today.
Yeah, me and my mom were in a van when just driving up through Shreve, and there's this old lady walking on the sidewalk, and just for no apparent reason at all, she just fell. And didn't even, she was old, didn't even try to catch herself, busted her face on the ground, it split her forehead open. And we're in the van driving past it, and I'm just looking out the window, and I just see it happen. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you don't see that, you know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? Mom pulled over, and I went over to the woman, and one of the neighbors was cutting like a mow in his yard, and he ran over. And they ended up getting her phone out, which was one of those like jitterbug phones, you know, you just call it, and it's like her son or whatever. She was bleeding all over the place. Like it was wild. And to just like, it's one of those things where you're not expecting it. It's a normal day. You're just going about your business. All of a sudden you're just looking out the window, see it. It's like, this shit just got real right now. Like, we left before ambulance or whatever showed up, but they came and, you know, took care of her or whatever. But yeah.
My son yesterday was riding his skateboard and he's like, Dad, this guy down the street's creeping me out. And I'm like, what? I was like, who is it? So I like go and look down there and there's like this like little old man and he's got like the motorized like wheelchair. And he's like, every time I skate past, he's watching me. And I was like, Gunnar, I was like, you know what this dude's doing? I was like, this dude is like 80 years old sitting in his wheelchair and he's probably doing exactly what I would be doing. He's waiting on you to fall and fuck yourself up so that he can get, I was like, so that he can get a kick out of his day. Like, he's watching you every time start to get that speed wobble, and he's like, this next one, this little motherfucker's going to fall. And I was like, he's waiting on you to ride past and fall so that he could be like, that was it. That's what I was waiting on. And I was like, what's he going to do? I was like, you're on a skateboard, dude. I was like, you think he's going to chase you? I was like, you think he's trying to like kidnap you? Like,
those things are pretty fast.
Yeah, but still, I was like, dude,
well, see, I was thinking
leave this man alone.
He was just watching for entertainment. And he's like, oh, this is cool, watching this kid skateboard. But
I would have been watching like this smart mouth little kid. I hope he falls.
The highlight of his day.
Yeah.
Why not?
I was like, trust me, that old man's not trying to kidnap you, bud. Like,
hey, stranger danger.
Yeah.
You never know.
I guess we do live in a world where you gotta kind of be aware, but I feel like my mom's like lightweight, a lunatic about things. So she puts things into his mind like, you can't talk to anybody. And I'm such a social person. Like, we all talk to everybody. So I'm like, you can't tell him to be scared of everybody in the world. Not everybody's out to get him. And you got to pick your battles. I told him, I was like, Gunnar, if that's like a 45-year-old man with a trench coat, I was like, know your audience. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
exactly.
this guy isn't up to no good.
I don't know, that Herbert from Family Guy.
That's true.
Popsicles in my basement.
We've had to worry about that with our kids, like, because she has no regard for stranger danger whatsoever. So it's like, all right, like, but we don't you can't like frighten the kid, but it's like we don't need to talk to every person we come across. Like when you sat past somebody in the grocery store, like we don't need to strike up a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like they'll be okay.
Yeah.
She said when like 5 years old, every single person, hi, what's your name? Like she'd be the one that like as we like check out, she'd be like, thanks a lot, Stacy. Like bro, like you read their name tags and like call them by name. It's like that's great. That's good. That's fine. But let's not talk to every stranger that we come across because
thanks for being polite, but stop being polite.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
A little much. We don't need to talk to everybody. There's some weird ones out there.
Chad, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do your parents feel now about everything?
Oh, okay. So that's a cool story. When I told my parents I wanted to be a tattoo artist, they're like, I'll never forget my dad. He was like, if you think you're going to make a living being a fucking tattoo artist, you're fucking out of your mind. And I was like, all right. So we ended up, me and my now wife, we were living in the basement at my parents and we had to move out. It was bad. Like not happy. So we went and got an apartment in Worcester, and that's when I was going through my apprenticeship and stuff. And but they warmed up to it. Like my mom's got 4 or 5 tattoos from me now.
Oh, how the turntables turn, huh?
Dad got one from me. That was really cool.
It's such a nice job. Like it is just so like class.
Thank you.
Clean.
Yeah, it is an excellent built, like just the whole setup when you walk in. I'm really excited now. Now I feel like I'm gonna have to get another tattoo, so I can experience the new shop.
Well, it's like it's been almost 10 years. It's like that I could use a facelift, like because I'm looking at like stuff I did back then. I wanted to do now, So yeah, I'm trying to freshen it up and.
There's some really cool like ideas and stuff.
It's like a doctor's office.
Yeah.
It feels like it coming in.
At least a house of learned doctors, for sure.
I've tattooed a lot of Worcester doctors.
Yeah, we tattooed doctors, police officers, nurses. Like,
so you're basically PhDs now.
Yeah,
It was me and Sloan Kettering.
Blazing that shit up.
And then so like there's like the one little half wall. Like I really liked the idea. They're gonna take that down and make it a bench because now that hole's in the wall, so you can you'll be able to sit on that bench and like face my station or just turn around, face the other way, and you can kind of just go both.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been on the other side because I saw there was like a fireplace.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that looks nice. Like that's gonna look super. What's all blown open.
Yeah, the other side. How long is that? 5 years ago.
Because I feel like you didn't always have both sides, right?
So we started with the one. There's a point where we were sharing chairs. Like I think me and you shared a chair for a while. I was like, hey, you got anything today? Cool, I do. So I'm a tattooer. Opposite, and it just got way too hectic. It's like this isn't gonna work. So there was a skills games right next door, and they were really annoying. But they ended up fucking up something, and they got evicted. And I was like, I want it. Like we'll take it right now. So we got it, and. Yeah.
The landlord just came in the other day, and now there's just a big hole in his wall. And
new landlord.
We just
no.
And he like comes in and he's like,
yeah, he is.
We're like all worried, like, okay, what are we gonna tell him about like the wall? And he comes in and he's like, oh, this looks great, and we're like, oh, hell yeah, all right. Well, then I tell you nothing about it.
The buildings went through 3 different ownerships now, and I was pretty sure when I signed the lease in 2014 I was allowed to do anything inside as long as it wasn't structural. Free game. So I mean, I didn't review my lease before I put the hole in the wall, so that made me a little nervous. But it's not a structural wall; it's not load bearing. Pretty sure there used to be an opening there, anyways, because there's like a header and stuff already. So, yeah, we just tapped into it, and here we are, like. What are we going to tell the landlord? Like, he's going to see this eventually. I'm like, I'd rather just ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but we're all nervous. We're thinking like, okay, I'll say this.
Hang a curtain.
Right. Turns out he knew about it the whole time. Like, someone he knows came in and got tattooed. And they told him about it. And so, like, he's known for several days or whatever. And he never texted me, nothing. He just came in. He's like, it looks really good. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, yeah, as long as it's not structural, a couple 2x4s,
Right.
some,
Yeah.
you know,
The worst case, I was going to say,
fixed.
like, dude, if it's a problem, because it is 2 units, it's like he could rent to 2 different people. I was like, I'll close it back up if we ever leave, you know, but
Right.
I can't say nothing. So.
Yeah. Well,
He's a cool dude. He's a really cool dude.
Super chill.
That's always like that was really scary too, because it's like, hey, somebody bought the building and our lease is almost up.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
I hurried
it's
up
like-
and renewed the lease, but because we didn't know who was going to buy it.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
and I mean they could just be like, hey, we're upping your rent to this and kind of push us out,
Yeah.
or you know they could do whatever they wanted. So it was like it was kind of worrisome for a minute, and we kind of just kept that between us. Like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?
People
What
would
are we
come to
gonna
like
do?
look at the building to buy it, and they
Yeah.
like got their kids with them, and I'm like,
Yeah,
no
'cause
kids,
They're trying to
no
like,
kids.
watch
Like,
kids have
there's ghosts here.
just trying to push them out the door. I'm like, you don't want
Well
this place.
We have that sign in the front lobby that says "Keep your damn kids out." You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I'm like, oh, you came to take a look at this shithole, huh? You don't want this place. Like,
You should see the size of the cockroaches.
everything's good except like the termites are eating away at that.
Yeah.
yeah,
I can imagine is the kids thing more so just like for a liability, or like because obviously like sometimes
Well,
it's
you
a little
know
of
sometimes
both.
you tattoo buttholes.
Everything.
I mean maybe not you guys,
Yeah.
but
I mean, we all talk like sailors in there. Like, you know, you don't want a 10-year-old coming in there like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck this, fuck that. You know, like,
We're-
that's bad.
yeah. And I mean, if they're running around, distracting us from
Right.
doing a job on somebody that's been waiting 6 months to get tattooed, that's paying a good amount of money for their piece, like
Right.
they don't want to think that like we can't be focused because there's a little kid running around.
Right.
They're crying. It's like, you know,
Or, you know, how, like, you get a big piece or whatever done, like, you get in your zone.
yeah.
You know, the last thing you want is a little kid running through the hallway, like, "Eh," you know, it's like, that just totally ruined it for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's that. And then there's just, like, health department reasons and stuff. And
I had a client ask me, he's like, hey, is it all right if I bring my kid with me? And I was like, no, I was like, we can't have kids just because you would have to be keeping track of your kid while getting tattooed. And she's like, no, he can just sit on my lap. I was like, get the fuck out of
wow.
here.
Yeah.
This ain't the place for you.
Yeah, if your
apparently.
kid's sitting on your
I
lap,
would've
it's
had to worry
definitely
about-
not the place.
It's like
to
those
be.
parents that are going to take their kid to the bar. Like, we can't find a babysitter. Like, just take him with us. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
Unless
stay
it's
out till
App-
2 a.m. He'll be fine.
Unless it, Applebee's maybe, but
Yeah.
Hi in the car when I dropped your deposit off because I.
well, if somebody has to come in to like you know, for like a consultation or to, you know, drop a deposit off or something like that.
Yeah, if
and
it's quick.
and the kid's only going to be in there for 10 minutes, that's fine.
Right.
It's when you know you're going to be sitting for 4 hours and then one of us has to turn into a babysitter to watch
Mhm.
your kid while you're getting tattooed. Nah, like
Yeah.
that's
you
not
guys
in-
don't get paid for that.
that's not
Hell
in my job
no.
description. Like the customer is not always right when it comes to some certain things like that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, even just random people like coming along with somebody, I could imagine would be distracting and annoying.
some people, yeah, sometimes.
I had I had a girl the other day. She was like, I got into a motorcycle accident, broke
Right.
my collarbone, and well, they gave me Percocets for the
Yeah, I want to
pain.
hear about that if you want to talk about it.
Yeah,
You can
I'll
tell the story.
I'll tell you that. But so they gave me Percocets for the pain. I don't like pills. I think they're disgusting. So I still had a lot of pain. So I was just like eating a half of one. They were still making me nauseous. So I was like, man, fuck this. Told my doctor, and he's like, we're going to switch you to Vicodins. And I was like, all right, cool. Same thing. Felt horrible. I felt like I was going to puke. So I didn't take them. So this woman, she comes in the shop. She's like, yeah, I heard you got into an accident. What'd they give you? And I was like, they gave me this. And she's like, you got any left? She's like,
Oh, jeez.
she's like, I got like real bad back pain. And I was like, are you asking me to sell you drugs right now? I was like, you gotta go. Like, no.
This isn't gonna work.
I was like, no, I flushed him. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't sell you the drugs.
It's amazing when some people will like will ask of somebody else, like just randomly.
Never met her in my life.
Yeah.
I was like, you're shitting me. Well, I had another client there, and like after she leaves, they're like looking at me and they're like, did she just ask you to buy drugs? And I was like, she did. Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
100%.
Yes, that's what that was.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, sorry about that. That's not like different kind of doctor's office.
What's the strangest thing you guys have tattooed before? I know it's like such a weird, like a stupid thing to ask, but like thinking of like the random shit that I can imagine that you guys experience, like that last story, like I just had to.
I get asked this question all the time, and I've tattooed some really weird shit, but nothing ever comes. I can never like pinpoint what it is.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
So
like,
no
it doesn't-
buttholes for you then,
No.
huh? Like,
No.
I didn't say location.
I mean, either way.
It's like I can never think of anything specific that like tattoo wise, like the actual tattoo, but I've tattooed a dead body before.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a story.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was trippy. She called the shop. She wanted it done. It was two sisters. The one sister passed away in her sleep, and I think they had. Did they schedule a tattoo?
They were scheduled to get tattooed. Yeah.
Okay, but now they couldn't get their matching tattoos. So I think they asked you first, and you're like, no. I was like,
Just can't bring myself to do it. Like,
okay,
Like, are you
Like,
happy with the placement? Nothing. Okay.
right.
You good? You ready to run with this then? Or-
Yeah, do you still have to ask for permission?
yeah. Like, all right, go ahead, fill out this paperwork. Like,
So it was kind of more for the family to.
Yeah, it's like a grieving thing, you know. So
it was cool.
what we did is I was like, okay, this is like a legal bag of worms. I was like, I need written, like handwritten documentation saying this is okay from both your family and the funeral home. And they're like, all right, we'll get it. So they got me all that. I went down to the funeral home. I did the sister that passed away. I did her tattoo. She got it on her foot. And it was just an awkward experience. Like they took me back into the room. There was no one in there, but it's like McIntyre's downtown Worcester. And it's just like really quiet, and she's just laying there on a table. I'm like, all right, so
How
yeah.
many days?
I want to say like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like, the sister was trying to come back and see me do it and stuff, and they didn't want her to because like they didn't have her prepped and everything for like the viewing.
Oh.
And he's like, "Can you help me out? Can you like help talk her out of this?" I was like, "Yeah, I got it." So, anyways, we did that tattoo, and then her sister came back to the shop, and then she got her tattoo at the shop.
That's actually a pretty awesome story. Like,
Yeah.
as strange as it might be.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that, but like, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. It's a good story.
Yeah.
I did get asked one time. There was a horse that was born, and it had, I forget what it was. It didn't have any black or something under its eyes. So,
Oh, the albino horse.
yeah. It was an albino
horse.
horse, and like they were gonna put it down or something because the light would be too much and it like couldn't see or something like that. So they asked me if I would tattoo black under the eyes, kind of like football players, so
Right.
it reflects everything. And I was like, absolutely, I will do that. Like, you're gonna knock the horse out and be like, whatever.
It's gonna be unconscious,
Like,
right?
Yeah, and but yeah, I never ended up doing it. I don't know what they ended up doing with it. But that was
I'll say
yeah,
that would
I'll
go right
do it.
along with your other hobbies that you have. With
Yeah,
the,
well,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean,
cool to
I
add to the portfolio.
yeah, absolutely. It definitely would have been.
Ryan's like, if the horse ever passes away, can I have his bones?
I just want to set it up.
I want its head.
I don't want to kill anything, but I'll repurpose it for sure.
What about you, Josh?
I tattooed a Amish dude, like full Amish outfit, and I'm not gonna say what I tattooed on him because this was before I gave a shit what I was tattooing, and it's not something that I'm like proud of. But I did a tattoo on this dude. He was like kept bothering me about it, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. And he got kicked out of his church for it.
Yeah, I was wondering what like I can't imagine that.
The tattoo is probably the reason. Like what the tattoo was probably the reason he got kicked on his ass. And I have no clue, but he got kicked out of his church.
Because his wife spilled the beans.
How he became Amish was actually pretty wild to me.
So he wasn't born into it?
No, he lived in Texas and he was a skater. Like he skateboarded, and then he came up to Ohio and saw Amish people and was like, "I love the way that they look. I love the way that they live." Became Amish, and then I did this tattoo, and then went ahead and just went back to skater because he's like, "Yeah, I'm no longer allowed back."
That's a wild story.
But Ryan and I had a guy asking us. He asked me. Well, he asked Ryan, and then asked me, and I just wasn't about it. But he wanted his dick tattooed, and he wanted it to be a giraffe. And he wanted
That's actually a really good idea.
He wanted his nutsack to be like the body of the giraffe,
The
and
giraffe's
then
legs folded under.
the head or the shaft
Kind of a really cool idea.
to be the neck, and then the head to be the head, I guess. And Ryan's like, Ryan, I'm over here. I'm like, nah, I'm good, dude. I'm good, dude. I'm not really trying to take this on. And Ryan's like, I'll do it.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
Did it turn out good?
I didn't. He never came back.
Oh, he never came back.
he wanted his sister to film him getting
his
it.
sister was with him. I thought that was kind of weird.
He's like, you mind if she films me getting my dick tattooed? And we're like,
That's a little weird.
Yeah, it was weird. But the thing is,
yeah, but how do you do that though?
Well, anytime that you're doing
stretch a sack like a bat wing.
Yeah, but how do you do like the shaft? Because like you're like, all right, bro, we're gonna need you to take about 50 milligram of the good stuff, Cialis or something.
I didn't know either, and that's why I told him I was like, I need to do research on my own because
bring a fluffer in.
You basically
he does his favorite part.
I just like
dims the lights and puts the baby oil in the hair.
He's like, hope you didn't shave it.
Like, fluff them up, and I'm like, you know what? Now that you're fluffing out, today's probably not going to work. Come back next week. No, you got to like stretch it around like a baseball bat or something round, like and just tattoo it like that. Like you don't want them to be hard. Yeah. But like, when I told him, I mean, yeah, when you're tattooing, sometimes you get put in weird situations you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
And you got to
put yourself in these situations.
You not all the time. I mean,
You don't just get randomly placed in a weird situation.
Right. It's like when you're doing like under titty tattoos or something like that. Like sometimes you're gonna see some shit, and you have to be professional enough to handle it that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like that's the thing. Like, do I want to tattoo his dick? No. But the thing is, I will charge you a shitload of money for it.
There's going to be a handling fee.
There's yeah. And like if I throw out this fucking stupid number and you're like, okay, then yeah, I'll fucking tattoo your dick. I don't give a shit. Whatever. Like I don't care. I got gloves on. Who cares? Like.
But you've never tattooed one, right?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either. Me and Ryan are on the same page. We would both do it. Like I said, handling fee. But we got Ed over there. Fucking love that dude. He's been tattooing for how long? 27 years now?
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Since the
We're like,
dinosaurs.
Ed, how long have you been tattooing? He's like, since Jesus was a baby.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I was like, first shop in Bethlehem.
And people bring it up in the shop. So like, oh, you've ever tattooed a dick? And he's like, yep, couple of them.
Yeah. No, I haven't. I would. I don't care. That wouldn't really bother me. I mean,
roll it around in your fingers like a booger.
Yeah, like that's so like you bend it over a baseball bat.
Once you like, once you're in like what you're doing, like you're not really focusing on anything other than like your name's on it. You know what I mean? Like you have to put yourself in. It's like, okay, I need to do this good job, and that's the thing. Like whether I wanted to do it or not, or the money or whatever, like it's as weird as it is, somebody's going to see it, and it's still my name attached to it. So you still want to do a good job. So like you're so focused on what you're doing that you're not really paying attention to like everything else. You're kind of distracted by just doing your job and
Right.
making sure that it's done right.
Well, it's just like I imagine like a doctoring like that. Like it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
if you're a gynecologist, like you know what I mean. It's like, okay, well, you have a job to do, and you got to make sure that your job's done. So it's like,
yeah, but that's kind of different though. Sometimes I feel like sometimes like they're not always going to the gynecologist because it's all like working out great down there. So it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like being
yeah.
like the dick doctor. Like
it's definitely not a good. It's definitely not a job that I would see being cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Not. I did a 4-month rotation.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, to each their own. You know?
I was just thinking if you did tattoo that guy, that giraffe, I'm just thinking like he's taking his pants off in front of this girl for the first time. She's like, oh, he's like
yeah.
Ryan Richardson.
Yeah.
I can only imagine if you had a giraffe on your dick, though, and you send a dick pic and you get busted.
Well,
And your old lady
it's-
finds it. You can't really deny
Yeah,
that
No,
one.
you can't.
Yeah.
the thing
It's
is,
set
like,
apart now. It's
if you know,
He's like a giraffe coming out of some shrub.
He dyes his pubes green.
Yeah.
before it's
A weemba way. A weemba.
before it's a giraffe, it's going to look more like a cheetah, right? You know what I
Oh,
mean? It's
yeah.
just going to eventually it's going to go from cheetah to giraffe real quick. Like, it's
Like tattooing spots on the sack.
Yeah,
Right?
this-
Yeah.
look, he's reaching up to bite the leaf.
But it only works if you have like a good sized dong, though. Like you'd
Yeah.
have to have a decent one because
Yeah.
if it's like a small one, it's like
One of them spitting
a
giraffes.
baby giraffe. Like, yeah, is it a camel? That's what it said.
If it's a camel, you better go see that dick doctor. There's something going on, man.
it's got humps.
I'm going to run up.
Are we doing the bathroom? We can do a bathroom break. Okay, I can do the same. So we can take a break. That's,
Cool.
One might call it a giraffe-sized bladder.
I wonder, did giraffes have big bladders?
Nah, I have no idea.
I wonder, did giraffes have big wieners?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, old doctor
Dragging
Dr.
it
Turner.
around and shit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like think about a giraffe. Like they don't have a lot of like ways to connect. I mean, they gotta
They gotta have
Yeah,
some.
they
They
gotta-
gotta
they
hang
got some
dong.
reach.
They gotta yeah.
They gotta hang dong
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
Gotta, they gotta pack.
I never thought about that.
You ever watch giraffes fight?
That's weird.
That
Where
is
they're
the
just like,
funniest thing
Smacking
in the
their.
world.
How do they not break their necks?
I have no idea.
I wonder how often that happens. It's
They
got to
probably
happen.
do, but there's
gotta
so many
happen.
pieces of it that they're like,
actually,
it's just a little crick.
Right.
Quick piece of trivia for you. Giraffes have the same amount of bones in their neck as we do. Theirs are just bigger.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like their neck or like the vertebrae?
Man, you were really preparing for this tattoo.
I just
He
watch-
looked
I
it
just-
up.
I watch a ton of like animal stuff. You can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
We're gonna need a fact checked on
Yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure they have the same amount of. I'm pretty sure it's the same amount of vertebrae in their neck. It's just they're just bigger than.
I seen a meme. It was like, just watch Planet Earth season 2, but I didn't see season 1. What the fuck are birds?
Apparently, surveillance drones. That's what they're saying now.
None of them are real.
Right.
They have enough of those. Like, have you seen those like little bugs they make and like they're like actually little
yeah.
bugs and like or like little like. I mean, those cameras are
Yeah.
tiny now.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah. Oh, that's
the birds aren't real.
I saw that the other day. Like all these people standing outside at the signs and stuff. Is like, get the fuck out of here. If birds are drones, I've ate some tasty drones. Like, you know,
Like locally, you saw people or just like
just on Facebook.
Oh,
like, there's
okay.
this big rally and stuff. Like,
the birds of the all the birds are
swear to God,
drones.
this country's turning into episode of Idiocracy. That movie.
Dive.
It's a good movie.
See, I've been saying that for years. I remember I watched it when I was.
Such
I
a
mean,
good movie.
It's
It
so
is.
pinpoint on
It is.
everything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was they're watering the plants with Gatorade. Like,
Yeah.
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 It's got electrolytes.
that's what
Yeah.
they say. Yeah, I've said that for a long time. Where it's just like people like, I thought, I've said this before. Where like I used to just hate people. Like I just in general, I just hated everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, people are stupid. Everything is broken, whatever. And then like I kind of had like this change of attitude, and I was like, all right, maybe I need to be more gracious with people.
Yeah.
And then
boom,
like
there
I
it
started
is.
believing in them, and then it was like once I started diving enough, it was like, oh, there's a lot of really stupid people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Seven.
Just, that's
There's
just-
only 7 vertebrae.
Yeah, that's just your boy throwing up animal facts. Not a big deal.
Way to go!
I
Ryan.
watch animal documentaries like it's my job. I swear, that's like all I do.
Verdict still out on the penis.
Those things, those things have to be huge.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to have one of those.
So I just went to the Oddities flea market down in Columbus yesterday, and they had a giraffe that you could buy for $5,000. It was taxidermied, and it was just
An entire giraffe?
not the whole body.
Oh,
It
just
was just like the front of it and
the
its
bust up.
neck. But I mean, it was huge.
Has to be.
For
Yeah.
you say $500?
5,000.
Oh, 5,000. I was gonna say
5,000.
500.
Seems
Why?
cheap.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say why would you
Why
not
don't
have
you
that?
have it?
But
Yeah.
yeah, 5,000.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it was cool, man. I love going down to stuff like that. It's just a bunch of some of the shit. You're like, what is going on? A bunch of people trying to sell their like kids art and stuff, like 5-year-old kids. Like, I get it.
It's
You know,
odd.
but, yeah.
He was on his way back from a concert up in Michigan. They stopped at a flea market, him and his girlfriend, and he showed me this picture of this really cool, like it was like a poster size, right?
Oh yeah.
Butterfly wings.
Yeah.
Someone took the time to
Man,
lay out
insane.
circles of butterfly wings and like almost like a mandala pattern, right? But each layer was the same butterfly wing. I'm like, do you know how long it must have taken to get the
Dude,
same
and
wing for each
I'm
ring?
so bummed I didn't buy it because it was honestly, I think it was like $40 or something like that. Like it was
I feel like
pretty.
it'd fit in
It was
your room.
It was pretty cheap,
Right.
and just the amount of time and effort that they took to make that, like that person, alive or dead, they are rolling over pissed right now that that's all it's going for. Because I mean, I can, especially doing some of like that type of stuff, I cannot imagine the precision and how you would have had, like it had to have taken so long and so much time to make that.
Now I want to see this thing. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed you didn't buy it.
I can't believe
You know what he
didn't
did buy though?
Yeah.
This creepy ass little donkey with a rat or something on it that you wind it up and it's
Yeah,
It's like an old kid's
I got
toy,
a,
but it's
I got a
so
video of
weird.
it. It's. I'll
Me
show you
too.
real quick.
They
It's,
say
and
Took a
I.
video at his
a
house.
donkey with a rat?
Yeah, I think I paid like $60 for it.
But you didn't buy the cool ass butterfly
Yeah.
thing. I was like,
Yeah,
Brian, you're so funny.
I might have messed up a little bit on that one, but I mean,
Hey, at
look,
least you're
here it
willing to
is.
admit it, right?
Find it.
Oh, Jesus, that thing's.
I'd
Right?
have bought it.
Yeah, what is that on top?
It's a little mouse.
Is that handmade?
I have no idea.
Is
Bro,
it what-
I mean, it's got to be.
How
dude.
much?
Like,
How much do you pay for it, right?
He said 60.
It says
$60.
no, it's $41. I can see
Oh,
the price tag
Plus
on it.
tax.
Yeah.
Right.
But he couldn't buy like a beautiful butterfly thing.
Yeah,
But
it's,
his like
I
his
might
weird
have
ass
a
toy would be
picture of
cool.
that, too.
That is odd. That's definitely more odd.
Yeah,
than,
well, it fits my room.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, look at this fucking ugly thing. Like, this is coming home with me. Like,
look at.
I
look
bet
how
they
ugly
couldn't
this is.
believe
here
they
it is.
sold it.
Sold.
Yeah. like, look at that. Those are all wings.
Whoa.
It's wild, dude. I almost want to go back and buy it, but it was like we were coming back from
That is wild.
I forget where.
Yeah, because I was having a hard time imagining.
That's the best thing.
not for sale.
I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now. Like somebody's looking at that and they're like, damn, I wonder how much that clip costs.
I
Like,
really want
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
man.
so that was having a hard time. I was I'm gonna ask if you had a picture of it because so it's this giant circular layer. It's circular layers of butterfly wings. Like they're all like symmetrical and they're laid out to create this
yeah,
artwork.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's held up by those black and like metal clips. You hold papers together so the clips not for
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah. There's
Go on
just
your Instagram story and I'll put it up.
all right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It would take for. How would you you'd have to be like a butterfly collector, like
Yeah,
out there with
I
or a
have no
butterfly
idea. And
farmer.
that's-
Got
Like,
like, a
sometimes-
little
Yeah, I could just see somebody out there frolicking in the meadows with
perfect
their.
butterflies.
Yeah, like it's like this little kid. Like, you think it's so beautiful. They're catching these butterflies, and it's like I'm ripping your wings off because I'm making a piece of art.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's a lot of butterflies.
hmm
I don't know if I've ever seen that many butterflies.
Yeah, I mean
Dead.
the amount of time that
Yeah,
it would have
dead.
taken for that.
That's a
is
lot of
insane.
butterflies.
Tattooing butterflies on.
Oh, see, that's
Tattooing butterflies on dicks or buttholes? What are we doing
Neither.
here?
I mean,
it was.
Butthole.
Yeah, but like right in the body is the middle.
Yeah.
Like the wings come
yeah,
out of
it was,
the.
it was $55. I can't. I need to go back and just buy it.
Is it local?
No, it was. We went to a concert in. I don't even remember where we went. Michigan? Yeah, we were in Michigan, and it was like on the way back. We were just driving, and like there's this giant building that said like, "Oh, whatever, Ohio's biggest flea market antique store," and we were like, "Well, we got some time to kill, so we're gonna stop there."
You never know what you'll find.
Yeah, and that's man, I'll spend hours in those places. Like I love it. Like I love antiquing and going through like old shit. And sometimes you find really cool stuff, and sometimes it's not.
Right.
Sometimes it's a $51 donkey with a mouse. Like I mean, you
creepy one.
Yeah. But I mean,
There's
that's why I got it though, because like it fits the room, and it was just like this thing is hideous. Like holy shit, somebody made this. And other people were like, "Damn, that's really cool. Like, we should give that to our kids." Like, can you imagine?
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. It's kind of like it feels like it rides the Chucky line of like Dollish, where it's like, is this supposed to be a kid's toy?
When he brought it in, I was tattooing, and he's like, "You gotta see what I bought." And he sets it down, and before it even started moving, I was like, "What the fuck is that, dude?" And then he's like, winds it up, and it's like, and I'm like, I was like, dude, this is like next level, like some weird shit. And he's
I
like,
can hear that conversation as I'm like,
yeah.
if I'm like laying on the table as Ryan's tattooing, and Josh is like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
he's like, $41. I'm like, what?
yeah, some things you just can't pass up. You know, I mean,
But the motor on his like machine that he was tattooing with was like starting to go bad, and he's like, I keep putting this off. And I'm like, yeah, but you keep buying fucking dead rats stapled to a fucking and like the horse's feet are wheels.
yeah,
And so
Moves
like
along the table.
it's so weird, dude.
I'm trying to upload this. It's just like it's taking forever.
That's funny. Have you ever been to? There's a. I feel like there's a like a flea market store. Where is it? I want to say Medina area somewhere. Maybe not. It's a real big place. And they have like old antique stuff and like things in showcases. And
Dover?
You talking about the one off of 18?
I
I've
think
been
yeah,
to
Close to that roundabout?
I think so.
Yeah, 83 and 18 there.
Yeah, because I remember I used to go in there and look for old razors, straight razors from.
Oh yeah,
Because like
I have a
sometimes
couple.
like I'd come across like it's like one of those things where you have to know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and is it worth it? Is there like whatever? Like there were times I run across things where I'm like, man, like I could take this right now and resell it for 5 times the price. And there's other times where it's like, that's not worth 10 cents. They're asking like $500
It just got
for it.
posted, Cass.
It's like, man, like, but some of those walking through some of those
It's
places
on
is
my
really neat.
Instagram.
Yeah. I saw that straight razor out there. I think it's dope.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never.
Damascus.
Yeah, it's Damascus with stainless. So I laid stainless on top of it, so has stainless on both sides, and there's brass pins that are like strategically like placed in it.
So you made that?
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah. You want to see it?
Wow.
Yeah.
You can pull it out. Here, hear me.
I'll show you
Watch the
what's up,
books. The books will fall, but I'll pull it out.
Meantime, we got the butterfly.
Oh, yo, the butterflies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Clip not
Out.
for sale.
Yeah, clip not for sale.
That is so wild.
No.
Yeah, I mean it's so many. Like that
gonna
had to
fuck
take
that
so
up.
like that. The precision of that is. I mean, it really is like
That's cool.
insane. I mean, I should have just bought it. $55. Come on, like that would have been worth it.
All right.
Hey, dude. That is sweet.
Show and tell.
Yeah, why not?
How long did you shave with? You shave for like a week or two or a month or something before you sell any of those? To make sure that
So the idea, well, when I make it, it's been a while since I've made them. But the idea, I always shave. I'll shave with them a couple times to actually, because it's like to test them out. Because typically the blades are so thin. If you ever seen like a straight razor, like it's so thin where it like
Yeah.
it's hard to describe how thin it is. But like there's all types of geometry and like math that goes into like the angle of it and all these different things. This one I've actually never even finished sharpening because it was one of those things where like I almost made it like as an art piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just could never bring myself to finish sharpening it and like use it. But yeah, but it's extremely sharp. So don't like, slice your hand open with it because it will. But yeah, it hasn't been finalized sharpened. It actually takes like a simple straight razor, at least for me, because I'm not like, there's actually people they call hone masters or something that are like, that's what they do is they like sharpen straight razors. And they're like pros.
You got like the leather strop and everything.
Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah, because that's how you condition it. Like I have a stack of stones that I use to sharpen them. And it takes me almost as long to sharpen a new razor as it does to make it sometimes.
Wow.
That's some cool shit, dude.
Because you have to get it's all like it has to be perfectly aligned. And I think it's just maple handle, but that's actually buffalo horn for the spacer, that black piece in the bottom.
Okay.
That's buffalo horn.
That is impressive. You
That's
still make
cool.
these?
Buffalo or bison, bro?
It's buffalo. It's water buffalo
Just messing with
horn.
you.
Yeah.
Will you still make these?
Yeah, I have all the equipment and have all the the stuff to do it.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things where typically, like, I got to before we started recording, I have a guy that has 2 kitchen knives that I'm making him.
Yeah.
And I told him it's probably almost been a year now.
Yeah.
And like anytime somebody wants me, I'll make it. Like, but I don't know when it'll be done.
On
That's-
your time,
Yeah, because like I just don't. I want to be able to put the time into it that I need to.
Yeah. Dude, that's really
that's
nice.
really cool.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where like I almost like I think maybe even subconsciously it's one of those things where I never finish sharpening it because I don't want to know if I failed at making it properly.
Right.
Because it's like there's like a knife you can get by with like a knife you can sharpen it and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like a straight razor, like you need to be able to use it over and over and over again
Right.
before resharpening it because it's a process. So it's like if you don't make it properly, because I have another one, I have another case in my other room that like has a couple knives in it that it just failed, and they're really cool looking knives, but they don't work or the razor is not like the material and the heat treat to the metal wasn't right, so it'll never be anything like
Right.
as far as except pretty. It's like shit. You go all this work, and then it's doesn't serve the intended purpose. It's like,
Wow. Yeah.
the fuck am I gonna do this now? Like it looks cool. So maybe that's why I've never finished it because I'm too afraid that it sucks.
Yeah.
It just looks cool.
Yeah, you see when people like traditional like katana, the people who would make katanas and stuff, the last one that they use, it's like a stone that's like the size of a grain of rice, and they're using it. I watched a ton of documentaries, but that's what it was. It was literally like them sharpening this blade with like the last stone. There's literally like a grain of rice, and they're just running it across the blade, like making it so fine. And it's like, man, that's
It's wild.
crazy.
Yeah,
Patience for sure.
Yeah, and it's scary too because even then, because there's the at least with like the knives and swords and stuff, there's the heat treat process. You could fail on like doing the heat treat process, and depending on the steel you use and different things, like it might like basically make the steel impossible to ever be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like that's fascinating that like these people, how many years, thousands, whatever his years ago, like have this steel and they're just banging it out with hammers, and they do that with it all by hand. It takes them how many years sometimes to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if you messed up like a year ago, it doesn't matter what it is in 2 years or 3 years, because it'll never be more than just a big chunk of metal that doesn't cut anything. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched this one documentary where they were talking about like the whole like katana building process, and it's like this giant slab of metal, and this dude, I think there were 2 of them, or maybe it was just one, but he would basically feed this fire and to melt all of this together, and it was for 3 days, like nonstop, to keep it at a temperature just to get this hard steel. And once they got that steel, then they take it. They give it to somebody else, and it's so it's a multi-person process, like to get it to the final result or whatever. But it's just like, man. But I mean, that was their weapon of trade, like
yeah,
hacking somebody in half. It's got to be tough. It's got to be the best. And like most katanas, they're actually made straight until you would quench them, and then that actually gives it that slight bend, like.
yeah, it's wild. Like look, like maybe that's what fascinated me about it. Once I got started, like I showed you that whatever that thing is that I showed you guys the first one. It was I was like I could just make anything, but then like I started learning the process of how all that works and how like the steel actually changes during the heat treat process, and depending on the steel and the carbon content and all these things, it has to be held at a certain temperature for a certain time period, and then it has to be quenched in a certain medium. And then like after that you temper it, so you heat it up a little bit, but not nearly as much as you did before. And like if any of those like stages throughout the process were messed up, it's just junk.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just like,
wild.
yeah, it's like, well, like it's pretty incredible. And I've done a handful of things. Obviously, I've done it for years now. Like I said, there was I have a razor that it looks great, but whatever reason, like I messed something up throughout the heat treat process, and it's actually too hard. And then so I tried to like re-temper it back down. It just never was
Wow.
right. Because if you make it too hard, especially with it being that thin, like the metal actually chips away.
Yeah.
It like breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too soft, it never stays like sharp enough. It's like sometimes it just
That's like I feel like it's the same thing like with tattooing. Like you know, like when you first start, you think that you just know everything. You're like, oh yeah, I fucking got this. But then
Yeah.
like the more that you learn, the more you realize that you don't have a fucking clue
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
it. Like even now, like there are days that I'm like, do I even know what the fuck I'm doing? Like
Right.
I mean, it's like the more information that you take in, you start questioning everything you're doing, and there's so many different aspects to stuff like that that it's like sometimes it's just so much information.
It's like a big puzzle, and I'd
Yeah.
assume it's the same. Like it's a big puzzle, and you have to figure out like the best way to put that puzzle together. Like
yeah,
starting a tattoo, you're like, okay, this has to be involved in it, and it's part of the process. But when does that part of the process fit into the
Yeah.
actual tattoo?
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's sometimes where like, if I want like a geometric pattern, like in a flower or something,
right.
you could like line that pattern into there and then shade over top with some color, or you could also do where you do that geometric pattern at the end so that it's way brighter and more vibrant, and it doesn't have something brushed over top of it. So it's like figuring out like which way do I want to do this to where it is just a gigantic puzzle
yeah.
that I know maybe 5% of.
How much of that has to do with like how the like even on the, and I'll take another step maybe, is with the individual and like their skin and being able to like hold
All of it.
ink.
All
Like
of it.
how do you even guesstimate that? Like as far as because I
There-
can imagine like each individual person's gonna be a little different. How much they bleed, how much ink they push
Yeah.
out. Like
Yeah.
Like leather skin, like
Yeah.
somebody that's
at the beach all the time, really there goes the
Yeah.
tanning
You
bed all the
just-
time.
you just know, like-
24/7,
Yeah.
man.
And honestly, it's one of those things you learn over time. Like somebody can tell you, but you're not really going to get it until you've been there and experienced it. Everybody's skin is different, and everybody, everybody's pain tolerance is different. And I mean, that's just another part of the puzzle. So like, you have to kind of look at your client, and it's like, okay, this is what they want, but they're pushing 60 years old. Their skin is going to be more weathered. It's going to be more wrinkly. This is what they want. How can I dumb that design down enough that it's going to work for them? Because had he been 20 years old or 21 or something, the elasticity in your skin is going to be different. I can put more detail into it. I can
it
do
can
stuff
hold more
like that.
complexity. Because,
But yeah, but when the more the skin ages, it's like, okay, I have to approach this differently, and I have to make sure that this is going to fit that person specifically because they're different, And I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I like tattooing so much, is because I love puzzles and stuff like that. And it is like what Josh was saying. It's like from the design process. You want it to fit the body. You want everything to fit their muscle structure. You want everything to fit them to that person. And then, it's okay, how do I approach this? So it's like you staring at it in your head. And that's probably one of the hardest parts. Like the execution, some of the stuff that you're doing as far as like doing the line work and doing that's something in itself, but like learning how to pan everything out in your head and make the right game plan, because you can do good line work and good shading, but if your game plan where the tattoo is off, then the tattoo is going to fall short. Like everything has to line up.
by the time you tattoo it, you've stared at it so many fucking times.
Yeah.
You've redrawn it so many times that by the time you tattoo it, the tattooing part is the easy part.
Yes, yes.
Like you're
absolutely.
like, I've already done this 100 times.
Yeah.
I've ran through every scenario of how to
In
do
your
this in
head,
my head.
yeah.
I already know that, but getting to that point, and like there's other things like your muscles in your body and stuff like that. Like if you look at like no skin on a body where like all the muscles are, that's almost the best way to look at a body before placing a stencil, because you can see how to make that tattoo flow with the way that the muscles are
structure.
flowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's things like backwards, making a tattoo backwards. Like if you're putting a tattoo up here, everything's always got to be facing forward or facing
In.
inside. like forward or inside. So I know a girl, she's got a girl's face right here facing that way. And so all that you see when she's looking at you is the back of this girl's head. And it drives me crazy. Every time I look at it, I'm like,
I never even thought about that.
every time I look at this girl's tattoo, I'm like, your tattoo's fucked up.
The
Like,
back of your head is ridiculous.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's just
amazing tattoos.
Just placed wrong.
backwards, ruin the whole thing.
Yep.
You're like, you look at it and you're like, God, that could have been so cool.
Yeah. It's like, Cass, like your arm, like if she was facing the back of you and that's what you saw when you were standing forward and you just saw like just the back of her, it would be like, okay, well that's
It would-
She's
it-
out on a great
yeah.
You gotta see the titties.
Yeah.
Titties.
Pump them girls up, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things you never think about. Like, I wonder, it's the perception of how the other people like see the art and like see how it all like feels. It's not even necessarily like you said, great. It could be a great design, great performance, and how carry through, and the whole tattoo looks great. But it's like it just feels wrong
Well,
to like
Right.
to your brain.
You'll have
Yep.
people that are like, I want it to where I can see it, so that when you put
Drives
it like
us crazy.
this,
Yeah.
you know,
Drives
so
us
then,
crazy.
So then
It's for
everything's-
me. Like,
But then,
Right.
and I understand it, and I mean, at the end of the day, it is their body. But like, as a design, like designing it for us as artists, it's like this is going to drive us fucking crazy because now you're going to have something that's upside down, and when you want to add something else to it, what are you going to do it upside down again, and just
Right.
keep everything upside down so that when your arms are down at their normal side, as 90% of the day, your whole sleeve, people are going to be like, "What the fuck
What
is
is
that?"
that?
Like, you know, it's
and the funniest thing is it's most of the time, whenever they want something facing them, it's a cross.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
check
yeah.
this out.
Yeah.
They're now
I never even thought
they
about
got a
that.
cross and it's for them, and then they're hanging their arm down at church,
Right.
and everybody's
Upside down
like,
cross.
Woo! Yeah, what
Yeah.
the fuck's wrong?
"You
with
got an upside down cross on your arm?"
Yeah, we don't know what your background is, but we're glad you're here. Like,
I never would
insane.
have thought about that. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But there's also people that'll be like I'm on like a bunch of like tattoo pages and shit, and people always post their tattoos and like ask for feedback. And then their tattoo will be backwards, and people are like, "Oh, your tattoo's backwards," and they're like, "I wanted it that way." Okay, that might be the thing. You might have wanted it that way. Honestly, I think you're full of shit, and your artist just didn't know what they were doing. But if you really wanted it that way, your artist still should have told you
yeah.
this is the wrong way.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
our responsibility to say,
Yeah.
like, you might think that it looks cool, but any other artist that knows what they're looking at is going to look at you and say, that's backwards for the rest of your life.
Yep. And then you're gonna have, then as an artist, it's like, why'd you do that? Like, well, that's what they wanted, and like I get that, but at the
Have
same
some
time,
respect
it's
for
like,
yourself. Like,
You gotta, we do it professionally. It's our job. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go to a doctor and you're like, oh, well, why don't you do the surgery this way? Because
Some people do.
yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that they do, but it's like,
I
like
googled this, and this is what I.
yeah. I mean, you gotta just like, sometimes you just gotta hold your ground, like, and then you gotta know when to walk away. So if somebody wants to do something, you're like, I don't want to do that because this is why. It's going to make you look stupid. It's going to make me look stupid. I don't want my name attached to it. They can get pissed and they can leave, and that's fine.
It happens.
Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, I would rather that than, just be like, all right, fuck it. I just want to make money today. And then you do it. It's on them forever. And then everywhere they go, somebody's like, yo, that looks weird. And then like your name gets brought into it. And then it's a reflection of like everything that we do. It's not just like a fucking haircut that you do and it grows out, and a little bit later, it's like, it's going to be there.
Shit's for
Like,
life.
People are going to see that. And no matter what, it's a reflection of me. It's a
Right.
reflection of my art. It's a reflection of, my work. So like you got to eventually come to grips with that and just be like, all right, I want to give you what you want, but there are stipulations as me as an artist of what I will and will not do to, make myself look bad. Like
Right.
we got to come to
because
a
artists
middle.
are brutal.
Oh, the worst.
They're
I mean,
other
like,
tattooers.
Well, it's because
You got-
competition,
yeah,
whatever
well,
it is.
it's not. It is that, but it's also like, we are our own worst critics.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we'll take each other's tattoos and be like when the client's there, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. And if we can catch something ahead of time, we'll be like, hey, you should do this or you should do that, whatever. once the tattoo is done and we're looking at it, I'll be like, yo, why the fuck did you do that? Like,
Right.
and then we're like looking at it, okay. But then like I'll go home and sometimes I'll be scrolling just through the tattoos that I did the day, looking at it, trying to figure out like what I could have done. I'm just like, I fucking hate it. Like they love it, everybody loves it, but in my head, it's like I could have done better. I should have done this. I should have done that, and I'll tear myself the fuck apart. Like nobody can tear me down worse than I can tear myself apart. Like
I was just at his house the other night, and I just did this tattoo, and people were loving it and everything. And I'm like, I could have did this different. I could have did that different. And Ryan's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. It's a solid ass tattoo. Be happy about it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Tell yourself that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you do. But
well, I think that also lends to, I mean, what we've seen from talking to you and being at the shop and you guys talking, and you said you guys feel like a family. So like not only like holding yourself accountable, but like being able to hold each other accountable and knowing
Very
that like it's not only just to talk shit, because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there just to talk shit.
There's no shortage of shit talking.
Yeah. But like knowing that like, hey, like if my family member is going to call me out on my bullshit and I can call them out on theirs, and it's both like to better each other. Like, what more could you really ask for? Like,
but I mean, there's also times where like I'll do a tattoo and I'm like, I'm not going to post it. Like I didn't like one specific thing that probably nobody else would notice, but it drove me crazy. Like, oh, that one spot drives me fucking crazy.
Right.
I won't post it. And then I'll be like scrolling through my phone months later and find it like, damn, that was fucking dope. Why didn't I post that?
Right.
I was going to say.
Yeah, sometimes it just works like that because you're staring at something for hours, and then like, one of the things I always do is when I'm done, I always make them stand up and I want to see it in a mirror, because once it reflects back, then I can see things that I might not have seen from the same angle.
Because it breaks up the pattern.
Yeah.
Or having them stand at a distance and just look at it from a distance. And that's another, like old man Ed taught me like something like when he's painting, he'll like set his painting up and like take a few steps back and look at it from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps your eye to see everything.
Yeah.
You see the whole picture.
Yeah.
Right.
I try to break it down.
Or like Buehler told me one time, he's like, if you think you have a solid design, flip it upside down and look at it upside down. See how it looks then. Or, well, it depends like what, like if you're left-handed, right-handed, whatever, but we have a tendency to draw stuff in a certain way, like a skull or a face facing one direction.
Perspective.
Right. And then if you can't turn that design around and it still looks as good as the way it was, like maybe your eye was just off or something, so you got to look for stuff like that.
I never thought about that either. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Sometimes even when you're doing like a color tattoo, one of the tricks to know if you like really hit the mark is like you'll take the picture. Yeah, you desaturate the color out of it and turn it to black and gray.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can still read it good,
If the contrast is still there and it's not like
because if you take a color piece and you desaturate it and those tones are all so light that it's like really hard to read black and gray, then you probably didn't hit the mark as much as you thought you did.
Right.
I take color palettes, like full color palettes, and then I put them on my phone, like take a picture of it and change it all to black and gray so that I can see what colors there are going to contrast each other. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I never thought about doing that too, changing that perspective with especially the colors.
Dude,
and also you figure a tattoo like as crisp and nice and as good as the job you do to it, it's going to go through some abuse.
Yeah.
And it's going to grow with the person that's on there. So it's going to like even I think as the technology is as good as it gets, or as the skill as good as it gets, like eventually like the canvas is changing.
Yeah, technology can be as good as technology wants to be, but you're not changing what really happens to the skin. You're not changing the technology of the skin.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you have to know that and work around that and make sure that everything that you do, that's one of the main factors, I mean, I can tattoo something intricate as fuck, that big, but I know in 5 years when you're looking at it, it's not going to do that because their skin is going to expand. Those pigments are going to expand, and it's going to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's also why we don't edit our photos, like our tattoos. We do everything we can. Like if there's like a glare, we'll like kind of turn the brightness down a little bit. But
or if like it's a black and gray tattoo and it's like super pissed off skin, we'll turn the saturation down. So,
but other than that, like we don't like adjust anything because we're not trying to lie to people and make them think this is what as possible.
Yeah, and then you're
Unrealistic
only going to do yourself a
expectations.
disservice.
Yeah, now I gotta
So,
try
like-
to match this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like,
just
what-
edited.
This doesn't look anything like what.
There are plenty of artists out there that'll do that. Like they'll
I see it all the time.
Photoshop the fuck out of their tattoos.
Smooth
and it's
out the
like,
blends and shit, and you're like, dude, that is
Come on,
clearly
man,
way too
like,
soft to be a tattoo.
You can just look at it and tell it's Photoshop. But to the untrained, we know it because we're artists. But like for, somebody that is just like a collector of tattoos or, just your average person, like they don't see that.
Right.
But us, we're like, this motherfucker, he's doing them dirty because he's giving them an injustice. Like he's putting out this false sense of this is what my tattoos look like.
Right.
And that's not what they fucking look like.
Well, it's just like the greatest example is like teenage girls and social media
Mhm.
and the filters and all these things.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, all
like-
these catfish filters.
yeah, stuff like that. Like if I see this guy's
Or
tattoo
bras.
or bra, yeah.
Those aren't the titties I signed up for.
Yeah, or yoga pants. Some of those, they really
Yeah.
squeeze all that
Let's
stuff.
talk
in there.
about technology. These new yoga pants are like,
yeah,
Science.
yeah. But like, if I see that and I go into to get the tattoo done, and then I walk away from it, and I go, "What the fuck is this?
Right.
This
Yeah.
isn't what his Instagram shows. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
this doesn't look nearly as
and I
good."
can imagine how those artists like they people got to see that. Like,
Yeah.
there's one that comes to mind. I'm not going to say his name, but he does like this real bright color
I know
shit.
exactly. That was exactly what I was talking about too.
And I've saw people have called him out like, oh yeah, here's what his tattoos really look like,
no.
and they post what it really looks
like healed
and
photos of it.
you're like, yo, this is not the same
Night
dude.
and day.
So I feel like
that's-
every one of his customers have to be disappointed when they walk away
Yeah.
with the tattoo.
yeah, and
they bought a used car. They got sold
Yeah.
on
yeah,
you.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you don't want to, you want everybody like, when people see the stuff that we do, it's like, this is it. This is what it looks like. And I'll post healed pictures. Sometimes like they come back in a shop or whatever, or I'll see them out like, hey, let me grab a picture of that real quick, and I'll take a picture of it and post it up, and that way this is what it looked like fresh. This is it healed. Neither one of these photos are edited. That's your expectation.
Healed and hairy.
Yeah.
Healed and hairy.
Yeah,
Healed and
yeah,
hairy.
because you're not. Yeah, you see them out.
Don't even shave it. Just get a picture of it hairy and healed.
Yeah.
Standing on the sidewalk in front of the bar.
natural.
Like, look, there ain't nothing edited.
Yeah,
this is
that's
raw.
what it is.
Like, this
Yeah.
is what it is. But what he was saying, there is times where, like, I'll take a picture of a tattoo that I just spent, like, 7 hours working on. And I'll get home that night and go to, like, post it and look at all the pictures. And I'm like, all these pictures fucking suck. And then a couple of days later, I'll look back at it and I'm like, fire.
Yeah.
Like, now it's time to post it because I'm not looking at it after just beating
The
myself
granular
up.
level, right?
Yeah.
Well, even then too, it's like, I think particularly tattoos is any type of art, like your pictures that we were showing earlier, like you can take a picture of it, but it never does.
No,
it never
dude,
doesn't, unless
doesn't, yeah.
unless it just sucks. Oh, I thought you were trying to get my attention. You're just doing some wrist rolls over there.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
that's,
yeah, like you just can't get the whole thing there.
I am notorious for taking terrible pictures. Like, they always give me shit for it. Like, I don't know. They don't do it justice. It's like it is one of those things where like you do it in person and I'm like, damn, that's fucking dope. And then like when I take a picture of it, I'm like, it doesn't do it justice. But
Yeah.
like,
It's just not there. What I seen isn't there. And I'm
yeah.
like,
Well, even when after I got mine finished, I'm like, man, like I tried to take a couple pictures of it, and I'm like, I can't even I want so bad to get like a good picture of this tattoo and post it and be like, yo, look
Yeah.
at this shit Ryan did.
Yeah.
Like this is fucking sweet. But it's like I take my own picture of it. It's like
I would love to
No.
see you trying to take a picture of your
it's
back.
it's me. I use mirrors.
Yeah.
It's mirrors. Yeah, but it's like
It's
no.
like, hey, Cass, is that it?
Yeah,
Is that
I've had her
Well,
take
I mean-
pictures of it, and I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, yeah,
Almost-
that's the tattoo, but
almost
fuck, that's not the
Yeah,
tattoo.
and almost any way you do it, especially that one, like it wraps. So it like when you try to take a picture of it, I feel like it's always the picture's always going to warp it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why
And-
sometimes we take videos because like
Yeah.
you can go around the arm or whatever
Yeah.
and show people everything.
The
I think that
worst
is a good
like,
move.
dude, people don't understand. And this is the thing, like they'd be like, well, it's just a little tattoo. Like it's not going to take long. And I'm going to tell you right now, there isn't a person in this room that wouldn't rather do a big tattoo than a little tattoo
Mhm.
because little tattoos are so much harder than people think.
That's
They're
why all
the
my
hardest.
shit, everything
They're
I
the
do is
hardest.
huge.
Right.
The smaller the tattoo, all your focus is right there on it. So if you fuck up one little line, all your attention is drawn directly to that.
Yeah.
If you do a big tattoo, you can like if you can hide things and like fix
I
things.
know what you're saying.
But like if it's
Always bigger.
yeah,
Hey, what
More
do you think
canvas
about this
to work
stencil?
with.
Go bigger.
Go
Yeah.
back.
Right.
Yeah.
man, but,
Blow that
you
up
know,
to where you don't see skin.
you're
showing.
doing like
Right.
say you're doing like a pocket watch. Like you don't
Make it this
understand.
big.
You don't understand how many perfect circles there are because you got to do the outside, the inside, and then the rim around it, and then a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger. There's all these perfect circles that you
It's
have
wild.
to do, and it's just like,
They haven't created a compass tattoo where you could just like stab
Oh,
in someone's skin.
yeah,
God.
I know the circles are circles like one of the hardest things to.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Perfectly straight lines and circles.
yeah,
No.
yeah, perfectly straight lines, circles, yeah.
Did Ed have you trace them?
Ed had me just trace whatever the fuck was on that page. It didn't matter. If there was a circle on it, you're doing it. And the problem is, once you do it, like I said before, like you do it, and you hand it to him, and he just looks at it. Circle, all this shit. Hand it back to you. You're like, fuck you, dude. And as soon as you almost don't even want to give him the paper, but you just worked so long doing it. It's like I can't not give it to him. But you're like looking at it after a while. You're looking at it the way he does, and that's the whole trick. That's what he wants you to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're looking at it like, I know where I fucked up. I don't even want to give him this. I already know what he's gonna circle, and it's like maybe he won't circle everyone that I see though. Fuck that,
So I
dude.
get
He
away
don't
with
give a fuck. He's just like, you fucked up. Take it back.
And then he's circling shit that there ain't even nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So fuck
Just
you
a
up.
circle.
Yeah.
Dude, Ed used to do this shit. We had an apprentice one time, and Ed is a fucking wild dude. Like he's such a weird. He has all these catchphrase things that he says, and we made a list of them. They're so fucking ridiculous.
Money on the floor, money in the door. Or some shit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Say, what's up, Eddie? He's like, hard dicks and airplanes. Which one do you want to go down on?
Yeah.
I've spent quite a few hours under Ed, so
Yeah. Fucking dude.
sounds about right.
He
Yeah,
used to
he's
do
something.
this shit where he would take like a penny or like a piece, like a dime or
Just
something.
hide
like that.
coins all over the shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hide them on top of like the door frame. Hide it up there.
Yeah.
So if he went back a week later and that dime was still there, he knew that nobody cleaned it.
Oh right.
Like little shit like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn, bro. Like
That's-
he's fucking Ed's sly, bro. Yeah. But I mean, it's good, because it's like, well, why is this dime up? Oh, you cleaned everything? Why is that dime up there? You didn't clean that. You didn't dust that
Good
off.
parent hack.
Yeah,
That's a good hack.
yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot
Yeah.
more sense now because I'd gotten I think had like 3 long sessions with Ed with a bunch of stuff, at least 3 or 4. And now his personality makes a lot more sense because I don't know him well, but like all those things you're saying, I'm like, okay, that
Yeah.
makes,
Yeah.
if it's the same person,
Yeah, he's just a different breed, man.
Like
really
Josh
very
was saying,
tight.
that money on the floor, money in the door thing. Ed is a little superstitious. And when we were painting the walls just a few days ago, like we're pulling all the furniture and stuff away from the walls, and like there's quarters, nickels, dimes, and I'm like, Ed, really? He's like, what about it?
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Goofball.
But I mean, it's good to have somebody like that around. Like,
Yeah.
he, like I said before. Oh,
He's the reason that I tattoo anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a bad spot for a while. Like I got a divorce and shit, and so I started like partying real hard. And the one day Ed was like, told me, he's like, you got potential. He's like, you just need to find what you like to do. He's like, because if somebody asked me what your style is, I couldn't even tell him. And I was like, damn. So I like started thinking about it. Like, what do I want to tattoo? What do I know? What do I have a vast knowledge of? And it's nerd shit. And so I was like, cool. So I started drawing nerd designs. And so really Ed is the reason that I found what I want to do. So he's a squirrely old man that says a lot of just off the wall shit, but he's definitely an asset.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge. Like he used to build tattoo machines, and I'm always looking for something new to get into. I'm like, I don't know why my brain works the way it does, but like I want to just keep learning new shit all the time. So, anyways, I'm like, Ed, can you teach me how to build machines? Like, I knew the basics, like how to put one together and everything, but I'm like, I want to learn how to build those from the ground up. Like, I want to like solder the frames together, everything. He's like, yeah, we can do that. So I set up a little tool bench in his garage, and he like showed me everything. And then like between him showing me stuff and then me like watching videos and stuff, like we were building some cool little machines.
First of all,
What?
First of all, Chad buys all this fucking equipment to start building machines and all this stuff. Has me come over and help him clean out his fucking garage.
Shed.
We clean out this whole shed. Like, taking all this shit out of it. He sets everything up and didn't use it. It was like, so basically, it's come over and clean out my shed. Like,
yeah, then we moved everything to Ed's garage.
Yeah, but Ed, I mean, that's what it was, you know, like, the first shop that I got into, like when he came in, it was just like, who the fuck is this old dude? And he's looking at, who the fuck is this young kid? But yeah, like his knowledge is very vast, and
I'm not sure he does age actually, because Ed looks the exact same as whenever I first met him.
Yeah,
see, I don't think he hasn't seemed like changed much since I saw him last time in the shop.
It's that leprechaun blood.
Yeah,
it's right here.
Yeah.
Well, you need people like that. I think as I grow older, speaking of old people, as I grow older, I realize like the people that are willing to call me out on my bullshit and like being like, really, man? Like, okay. Like, that's valuable because people just always want to go along. Yeah, it looks great. But then, like you said, like if you do a tattoo design, yeah, it looks great. And then you put it on, it's like people are like, why the fuck did you do this? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do this? And it's like, they're only helping you to improve.
I don't know if I touched this last time I was on here or not. He used to do this thing to me where like when I would tattoo, he would come over and he would just be like, hey, that's a good tattoo. That's awesome. And I'd be like, oh, thanks, man. And it took me forever to realize that every time he said that, he actually meant, you fucked up. But he wouldn't say it in front of clients. That was just his way of like telling me like, hey, that's a really cool tattoo. And I'd be like, oh, thanks. I thought I was killing it. And the whole time it was him literally just being like, no, you missed it.
You missed it.
And then once I realized, I was like, he said this to me so many times. Like,
oh my god,
fucking god! Like,
what's happened here? How many times have I done something wrong that displeased him?
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to have one of those. You know, like like I said, his music fucking sucks.
Oh,
brought that up. And now that we have that hole in the wall,
right?
You get to share music now.
Yeah,
you guys like have like a schedule.
Dude, it
like
is rough.
Tuesday's my day.
Tad will be like, I don't want to hear that screaming shit.
I don't know how he tattoos to some of the music he listens to. Like he had Poison Radio on the other day, and they're playing some depressing, like old slow music.
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, I was like.
Don't get me wrong. I can get down to some Stevie Nicks.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but Ed's like, we're like, hey, what are we listening to today? He's like, put it on Stevie Nicks.
It's just one of those things. Like when you walk into the shop, you can basically tell who got there first and played the music.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like as soon as we walk in, we're like, okay, well, Voshel was here first, so now I feel like we're in a strip club.
We're listening to ICP.
Like, you know, whatever. Like Ed comes in and it's just like this fucking guy.
Yeah, like, got some old Hank playing. It's like, hey, it's 2022, bro.
Yeah.
Can't play stuff.
I like it.
Old Hank.
Yeah. Dude, I forget what the name of the one band was, but I was like, this song is fucking ridiculous. And I remember going up to the computer just to see who sang it. Do you remember
what was it, dude?
Do you remember what it was? It was so
just the name
ridiculous.
of it was like, yo, dude, like you went out of your way to make this as cringy as possible.
Dude, it was I can't remember what it was. It was so fucking bad though. I just like.
I wish I could remember that.
I literally just looked at it like, you have got to be fucking kidding me right now. Like it was so fucking cringy. It was. I cannot think of what.
I really wish that I could remember that because it was so funny just to read it out loud. Like, holy shit, somebody named a song this.
Yeah, and like even the name of the band, you're like, that's what you're going with. Like out of all the things you could have picked, it's like.
Yeah, music is tough. If I hear that fucking a rose tattoo and if I hear that
Oh yeah.
and I come into the shop, I'm immediately in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I'm like, turn that
That's
shit
it.
off.
That's what I was talking about. Number one thing, like social distortion and
Social D, I
Rock
can't
Paper
do it,
Bees.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of was it Green Jelly?
Yeah.
That's a band that I've, in a sense, I've always been like, really, guys? Like, this is what you're doing? Like, they're talented. If you listen to their music, these guys know what the fuck they're doing. But like, this is what you're doing is naming your band Green Jello. I think it was Green Jello, but they got sued by the Jello company.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and then so like they changed it to Green Jello.
I always
like,
wondered about that.
yeah, I think that's what happened. They're like Jello was like, "Yo, motherfuckers," because they sing about like the Three Little Pigs and like all these like fucked up things,
So,
like super fucked up
my-
songs. And like,
My daughter was singing the Three Little Pigs song one day, and I was like, "Oh, you ain't never heard the real one, though." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" So I played that song for her, and the music video is all like claymation.
oh yeah, they're super fucked up.
Yeah,
And like if you've heard if you listen to the whole album, it's like some of their songs are like, well, like you think Three Little Pig songs fucked up.
It's like they're like
talking
they're
about
like
shit on my boots and like
they're
all
like-
these different like.
they're a lot like Primus in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, I think I want to say the Primus guy played on some of their stuff.
That would make sense because
They are very
they're
vibey.
they're so similar in that way. But like I made Presley. I was like, "Yo, check this out." And then like for the next 3 days, she's running around, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." I'm like, "Oh, that's hilarious." Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like I remember like getting on. It's like what like I think they're a bunch of I think if I could be totally wrong here, but I think they're a bunch of rich kids from California that were like, hey, let's like make this band and like I don't even know what to kind of it's metal-ish. I don't know what to call them, but it's like,
yeah.
like you guys just don't have anything else to sing about besides this shit. Like you guys are good musicians. Like why don't you find a real band like and
Yeah.
actually make money? But
Yeah.
hey, if you're having fun, you know.
Look at Wheeler Walker Jr.
I was literally thinking that the whole time when you guys were saying that.
Yeah.
I popped on one of my songs the other day and I was like, oh my God.
Wheeler Walker,
It's
that man, he's got a whole lot of talent. And look how he does all his shit.
Yeah, I guess you know as long as you're having fun.
Steel
Yeah.
Panther.
Yeah.
That's another one.
I was literally thinking that
Steel
too.
Panther.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen them in concert twice on accident. Like I didn't like buy tickets, but they were just there, and I was just like, the first time I heard them, I was like,
That's called the shot.
what the fuck is this? Because they sing like it's like that 80s hair band
Yeah.
vibe. And then you're listening to lyrics
shit.
like, what the fuck is really going on right now? Like how is this but they've made a whole career off of it. Like and I thought that they were like a newer band that came out and like no, they've been around forever and I did not know that. Like
Just playing satire.
Yeah,
But it's weird
yeah.
when you hear a band like that, you're like, man, like who the fuck is this? Like these guys are like fucking rocking it. And then you like start listening to the lyrics, you're like,
yeah.
what? What are we
Yeah.
wait a minute, what are we singing about here? Like this is
Yeah, these guys start listening to some shit that I mean, I'm down with pretty much any music, but it's like Lorna Shore stuff
Yeah,
you guys
Lorna
been
Shore.
listening to.
Lorna
Like,
Shore's amazing.
it's just like demon pig squealing. I'm
it's-
like, what the fuck is he even saying?
guttural death.
Yeah.
Like if you like
voices,
stabbed a
like-
pig in his neck and the noise he would make,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's good, dude.
It's-
It is.
Good.
There's this other it's called Counting Worms. It's a band it's this band Knocked Loose and like the song is only like 2 minutes long, super
Are you
short.
talking about the dog bark?
Yeah, yeah, but like it's like he does like it's like this quick little lyrics and then he just barks like a dog. Ow, ow. And then it just kicks in heavy as fuck. And I was just like,
good.
first time I heard it, I was like, damn, that dog bark throws it down. Though. Like every time I hear it, I just want to hear him dog bark. And I just looked up a video the other day of them doing it live. And like, I don't know what I had in my head, but it was not this kid that looks like he just rolled out of his parents' like honeymoon. Like it's just this giant, like rich, sweet, like he does not look like he would be throwing it down like that.
with the
But
dog barks.
yeah,
You can
yeah, I mean,
DMX it up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. I was or like Disturbed. He does
Oh,
that
yeah.
little scream thingy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? One more.
Nah,
Yeah,
well,
what?
yeah, you boy can't be throwing it out twice in one time. I don't like a copyright suit or whatever.
Or the Corn used to do that too.
Oh yeah.
They'd make their like little ramble.
Yeah, they
jumble
literally
of whatever.
just started calling. Well, they came out with that one song called Scat, And that's like what that's like what it is. Like that's what they refer to as that because they're like, we don't know what the fuck to call this. Like, what are
just
you
making
doing?
noises over
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Which is- have you? Oh, speaking of, I don't know. I just thought. Have you ever done like Do you ever have anybody come in like, hey, I just want you to start tattooing and just go?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not fucking doing that.
Have you ever like? So you have no interest in doing that
There's
whatsoever?
no puzzle pieces
No.
there.
Yeah.
I can't put nothing together
Like,
with no pieces.
You want me to just straight tattoo you without any reference, without anything? Like, no, bro. At the end of the day, again, my name is attached
Right.
to it. What the fuck am I? No.
Right.
There's little things that I'll like freehand on when I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, I want to add a flower here, and they're just little pinwheel flowers or something. It's like, I might do a little thing here and whatever, or I'll draw on them with a Sharpie or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
if it's a little area, I might do something like that. But for a whole tattoo, you got me fucked up, dude. I ain't trying to like
Especially because
start and go.
a lot of places on the body, especially like the ribs and stuff, someone says, "Oh, just do whatever." Well, you have to have them laid just right to tattoo that area. Like
Right.
to help stretch the skin. You still have to stretch it, but to draw something on and then or not draw something on and try to do something so it looks normal when they're standing up.
Mid stretch and all
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
things.
you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah,
It's that thing where like you put a design on somebody and you're like, all right, cool. Especially on the rib. The ribs is the worst.
Yeah.
So you put a design on them and it's this big.
Mhm.
But then when they lay down and they go like this, that
So it
design stretches.
Yeah.
So if you just tattooed with them stretched out and it looks cool when they're stretched out, when they stand up and go like this and put their arms on it,
changes
just
the entire
deflates
thing.
it. And it
Right.
would just make it look like a whole bag of dicks. Like,
Oh,
there's no,
have you ever tattooed a bag of dicks?
no, but I totally would.
I have a tattoo on my knee that I learned a lesson from like that, actually. It's whenever I first started tattooing, and I put the stencil on while I was sitting down. And so it's like this
Yeah.
big
Now
on
it
my
crunches
knee.
up.
And then whenever I stand up, it goes like this big. And I was like, I couldn't even believe, like, I didn't stand up through the whole thing. I put the stencil on, tattooed the whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then I stand up at the end and look down, and I was like, oh. So now it's like this big over
Yeah.
my
Well,
knee.
that might be a neat idea. What about any ideas like that where like you intentionally do that,
Oh,
where
there-
like it changes,
there-
like it's
yeah.
intentionally
You
changed.
can.
Like
I
as
saw
you,
somebody get like a puffer fish,
Oh, yeah.
and he got it on his elbow. So when
remember that.
he's like this, it's
it's
like a
normal.
little small. But then he stretches it, and it like
There's
or a
that's-
frog. I saw one with a
Yeah,
frog in
that's
his
kinda
belly.
cool.
there people get like what are those the bugs with
A
the
Bug's Life.
wings. Yeah,
Oh yeah, like
Bucks.
the beetles and stuff. They
yeah,
put them
like
in like the ditch.
a scarab beetle.
Yeah,
They'll
And
put
when
them
they
like
open, It
this.
looks like this.
So the whole beetle is like this. And then when they open up their arm, it's like the wings coming out, and they're
those are cool.
they're super cool.
Yeah.
Like whoever came up with
That's
that,
neat.
it's like, damn, dude, you went above and beyond. Like
I'll have to
you're,
check out some of
yeah,
that. That
yeah,
sounds really
it's
neat.
It is
super
really cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, even the way that they do them, like when you do it, like and just watch the wings come out, you're like, and when their arms open, it's still a good tattoo. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's crazy to see the transformation of
But
it.
that's neat. Some of those
Yeah.
different ideas like that. How much does that change as a? Because I've always thought about this, like, because Ryan's may not made fun of me, but bitched about like tattooing my back, and like I'm not a small guy. Like, what if I just like stopped lifting and I lost a bunch of weight? Like, how much
there
like
you
this
go.
tattoos like you like or-
You have to lose a lot. Like you have to lose like 100+ pounds for it
for it
to
to start
really-
changing and
Yeah,
start
people-
distorting?
Dudes will come in and they're like, well, listen, this is the thing. Like, I want to get it on my pipe.
On the pipe.
But I'm also going to start working out. I'm going to hit the gym pretty hard. I don't want it to look weird when it's like, bro, you would have to go from like this tiny kid to like your arm getting pregnant before it would actually really start to matter.
I always wondered how much like how
yeah,
much
there
it-
you go.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, like that's super, like that's just genius. That's that whole
Yeah.
thought process we were talking about, but ahead of time, like that's it right there. Perfect
Yeah, it's
example. I mean, like, just to have that on your arm, like if their arm is out,
And even the layout, because if it's tilted just wrong, like a couple degrees in the wrong direction, like it changes the
Yeah.
entire.
like that,
So is this the only time where you can have something facing out?
well, something like this, yeah, because of what it is, like it still works. Like
There's no real like law on it. You just have to look at it and be
It
like,
has to work.
Yeah.
you know that should
It's
be
gotta
the
work.
other way.
Like
Yeah.
that. Nobody's gonna be like, well, it's facing outside, because once they see how cool it is, they're gonna be like, damn, that's dope.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Well,
otherwise,
it
if that
works.
bug was just on the up on her arm or his arm or whatever, a little higher, and it was facing out, it would be a weird tattoo.
Yeah.
Because you would, when their shirt's down, you would only see the ass of the bug.
Mhm.
But because of where it's at and like what that is, like that's just it's a genius idea. It's a good design. Like, I mean,
I actually just on my girlfriend, I did a big flower right here covering like the whole inside of her arm, and she entered it at the competition. I actually got first place for it in female color, but when she went up to have it judged, they asked her, they were like, "Can you close your arm like this so that we can see?"
what it looks
And
like.
when she closes her arm, the leaf like sticks out, and you can just see like a couple petals coming out. And then she opens it, and it's this big flower.
Flower blooming.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It came out really dope, and it's so funny because I was so focused on this tattoo, and I felt like I crushed it. And then she sleeps next to me every night, so I'm looking at it while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
And the other night, I was looking, and I'm like, "Holy fuck! I didn't shade that spot in. Like, I got first place on this tattoo, and it's not done. Like, I was like looking at it closely, and there's like a spot back here where I just didn't shade this petal in because I just didn't see it, and she doesn't know it because she can't see it either. But I
They
noticed
didn't
it
catch
while she was sleeping, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't fucking do this."
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Two
a-
questions, Chad. What is Vitruvius? And I think you were gonna talk about your breaking
Yeah.
So Vitruvius came about, and sometimes I'm like, why the hell did I name it this? Because like nobody can pronounce it right. Whatever. Me and my buddy Josh Brohart, which do you remember Brohart, right? We've been friends since like 7th grade. Anyways, one night we're just like talking about shit. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to name the shop. He's like, help me throw out these names and stuff. And he said something about Vitruvius. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. So I started looking into it more. And I'm like, you think that sounds good? He's like, I think it sounds dope. Like, you should do it. I'm like, all right, we'll run with that. And I Googled it. There's no other shops around named Vitruvius. I'm like,
bonus.
that's cool. So it's like, we'll stand out a little bit. But so it's Marcus Vitruvius Polio. He was a first century BC architect. And if you've ever seen the Vitruvian Man that Leonardo da Vinci did, he was the inspiration for that. But he had like a super strong fascination with human anatomy and art and stuff. I'm like, that's cool.
It fits. I think
Yeah,
it fits.
It's
Yeah.
different. It's edgy, whatever. And everybody's like, how do you pronounce it? Like,
Yeah. Virtuous.
Virtuous.
So, there's a
Studio V, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Carl.
Yeah, when we I was talking about the villain arts shows, and the dude Carl, he's like the announcer guy. Love him. He's such a fucking good dude. But every time that we win something, they have to like, they'll announce it like first place goes to whoever
Right.
from Studio
virtuous. It's always virtuous.
He'll be like
20.
virtuous.
20 times.
Yeah,
Last
and
year.
then- and then-
Like, Carl.
Yeah, and then like by the end of last year, he was like, Vitruvius, he's like, I'm not gonna fuck this up again. Like
This year he
I
did.
got it now. And then again, like this year, he fucks it up again. We're like, God damn it, Carl. Like people, people were literally telling him like,
Every time you fuck up the name, you got to take a shot.
yeah.
So at least you have a
So
reason to fuck it up.
20 in
at that
a
point.
row. Like, dude, you're hammered.
Yeah.
Right.
So that,
Yeah, that's the Vitruvian Man, though.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense with the tattoos and all the things we just
Right.
talked about. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's
It's-
classic.
Which
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated with Da Vinci and stuff.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
shit blows my mind. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
I like it. It's curious. It's better than just like
Yeah.
tattoo shop.
It definitely
Right.
like a lot of people
Right.
are just Studio V. You know what I mean? Or like they'll they'll tag us and stuff. Somebody be like, "Where should I get a tattoo at?" And then there's always people like, and then they just butcher
Yeah.
the name of it, or they'll just be like,
People
Studio
just type
V.
Studio V in the search bar and wait for it to pop up so they can just like
Yeah.
click
Well,
it.
they should. If nothing else, in this day and age, we got Google. We got all these things. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
just come on, use some
Right.
help here.
But I mean, it also kind of, it's not necessarily a disadvantage because like At first, it was like nobody can fucking pronounce this, you know. You think of it that way, but then it's like the shop that sticks out because you can't pronounce it.
Right.
You recognize it. It's like, oh yeah, that's that shop that.
Studio
Yeah, the
Vitruvius.
one that
V,
nobody
whatever.
fucking knows how to say.
But
like-
goddamn, they win a lot of awards.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, when you come into the shop now, like my area and like all our area, there's just trophies and
It's pretty
plaques.
obnoxious, really.
Dude, it's so ridiculous.
These guys, look at us.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, your boys
Put some
going out
shelves
there,
on the wall so you can just line the walls with them.
We're putting in that work, man. Like I don't give a shit if there's 65 of them and I got a tattoo around them. Like
I asked him the other day, I'm like, should we just get a trophy case? Like a
No.
big trophy
Yeah.
case and put them on it?
Maybe you can do the ceiling. If you like put them like glass ceiling and they can just lie it
Oh.
down.
originally we got a shelf and we were going to hang it up on the top of the wall and then just put them across it, like
Right.
by our station.
With all
and
my
shit.
like toys, my nerd shit.
Yeah, it fits.
But I mean, like I worked fucking hard for those. Like
Yeah,
I
I was just giving
want,
shit.
yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like I want people
Like-
to see it.
But it also makes you feel good. You're sitting down in the chair. You're like, oh goddamn, there's all these medals and awards.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable.
Ryan
and
and
I
I
feel like I'm in
leaving-
good hands. Like,
Yeah.
Ryan and I leaving the convention last year, I was like,
Oh.
we had so many
Dude,
trophies.
we had to
I
put
was like,
them in a box.
I asked for
just
a
be like,
box.
hey guys,
Yeah.
you might help me carry my trophies.
I was like, hey, can I get a box for all these trophies? And then I'm like,
it was funny
I'm like,
because
That's awesome.
we took all of our trophies off of the table and we put them into these boxes, so they're not on our table anymore. These other artists are walking by. They didn't know us. They had never met us before.
we're actually friends now with these guys. They're great dudes.
Because we
Yeah.
overheard them talking when they were walking by, and they were like, "Bro, that fucking Studio V, they fucking killed it." As they were walking by, but they didn't know it was us.
They're like,
All
these
our-
guys got boxes of trophies. Just sitting next to them.
and we were just like, "Hey, that's us. We're your boys." And they were like, "Oh shit!" So they came over and like congratulated us, and we started talking to them shit. And they're super good, phenomenal artists.
Yeah,
phenomenal
great.
artists.
Very good.
But it was just cool, like to see other artists like that. Like you get that recognition from other artists. Like I love doing shit around here for people. But more than anything, if I do a tattoo and I post it, whatever, and like a shitload of people like it, like that's cool, whatever. Everybody wants that gratification, blah blah blah, whatever. But it's not that to me is like, as long as that person's happy with it, that's cool. But when other artists like my shit, that's when it's like, hell
That's
yeah.
what it means a lot.
Yeah,
They understand
because-
it.
Yeah, because they know, like, they understand the same process that we had to go through in order to make that.
Mhm.
So they're like, these fucking guys, like, holy shit. And that always means a lot more. I mean, not that other stuff doesn't, but
Didn't you just post about that? Somebody.
Yeah, I was about to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So my whole life, Dragon Ball Z. Everybody knows what it is. Vegeta is like one of the main characters of Dragon Ball Z, and he's fucking dope. Well, the voice
Alright.
actor,
He's alright.
the voice actor is now the same voice actor for another show that's actually like becoming big. It's called My Hero Academia. And he does like one of the main characters' voices in that. Well, he was in Cleveland yesterday, and a buddy of mine went up there and like he has a bunch of tattoos from me, and his name's Christopher Sabat, and he said the tattoo that I did on him was the best tattoo he's ever seen of this character. So this dude that I've idolized since I was like a little kid is saying the tattoo that I did is like of him is the best that he's seen, and I was just like,
That's pretty cool.
don't care about anything else. This is all I
yeah,
need.
dude,
That's pretty
I
awesome.
remember one day I'm sitting at work and we're just talking shit, whatever. And one of his clients brought in, it was one of the little pops, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the little bobblehead or pop, you know what I'm talking about,
Okay.
little dolls. But he got it signed by one of the voice characters of whoever it was or whatever. And he brought it in as a gift.
Of
And-
Goku.
Yeah.
It's a voice, literally the face of Dragon Ball. And he got it signed by the voice actor and gave it to me as a tip. And I'm like,
and I swear to
I
God,
thought I was gonna cry.
I
I'm
thought
like-
he was gonna cry. I was like, this motherfucker.
I was saying he's gonna cry. or
Josh
come.
is just looking
Yeah.
for
like, I was like,
That's so
you got
cool.
this for me?
Yeah, he shows it to him, and Josh is like, "Damn, that's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I got it for you." And he's like, "This is for me?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "This motherfucker."
I show it to people all the time. I'm like,
Yeah,
out.
rightfully so. Why not?
Tips that make you dumb. So first tattoo I ever got, I didn't know I was supposed to tip somebody because, like, you're telling me how much I'm supposed to pay you. So do you guys not get tips sometimes, or am I just a dumbass?
A lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
So,
It's
like,
cool.
why don't you just charge what a tip is supposed to be?
Okay.
Can that not be
Higher end tattoos, I don't usually get tipped on. If it's like $1,000.
Before we get in this, can I go pee again real quick?
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
cracked the seal and I fucked up and now, yeah.
No, that's fine. Maybe
All right.
maybe Josh can tell his motorcycle story.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah,
While he's gone.
I really want to know about tips.
All right, yeah. Do you want to dive into that quick, or do you want to go to the?
I would say you can if you want to tell your because I
let's
know
do
you. Yeah, you were out of the shop for a while because you were
Yeah.
in an accident. It sounded like you fucked yourself up pretty good.
Yeah.
If you don't mind telling the story, like what?
Oh, it don't bother me. So yeah, I was out of the shop. I was only out for a month. But I was coming down like in front of Mark's and Worcester, like under that tree line, and I was speeding. I was doing like 60 miles per hour.
So I think like a 35 miles. Or
Yeah, and so this woman was pulling off of Melrose, like to go down the hill, and I see her edging out, and I'm like, oh no, oh no. She pulled out in front of me, and so when I got up on the back of her car, I was gonna go around her, but there was like a line of cars, so I couldn't. Well, she wasn't like riding the curb all the way, so there was like some space in between. So I'm like, okay, obviously I can't smash on my brakes. So I'm just going to like ride this curb next to her car and hopefully she doesn't move over and see me. Well, as I was like coming up on the curb in her car, she didn't know I was there at all. She doesn't know that she just fucked my whole day up. And I like look over at her car, and as soon as I look, the curb turned and I just touched my front tire on the curb.
No.
And it threw me like 35 feet, like bounced across the ground. I broke my collarbone, twisted my wrist all up. Well, I picked my bike up off the ground, and because I didn't know my collarbone was broke, so I picked it up, got on it, rode it down the hill, and my hand was like I couldn't grip anymore. So I was like holding my clutch in with this hand, riding like this, and I couldn't turn. Because that meant I had to like...
You could pull it.
Yeah, so I get to the bottom of the hill, pulled in a driveway, and I was like, fuck this, going to the hospital. Broke my collarbone, my wrist was like fractured, road rash, like half my foot was ground off. Yeah, dude, it was miserable. So I go to the doctors after like a month, and they're like, so I was like, when can I go back to work? And they were like, well, when do you want to go back to work? I was like, fucking yesterday.
Right.
And they're like, well, you can go back. They were like, but we recommend like starting small. My stupid ass, first day back, I'd do an entire leg. And the next day, my wrist was locked. And I couldn't even bend it.
Oh,
And
because
I'm-
it was your tattoo hand?
Yeah. It was my whole, I'm left dominant. So yeah, my whole left hand. Next day, I'm like, cool, well, I'm back out for another week because I can't move my wrist.
And I even tried telling him, I was like, dude, don't do it. Like, start small, whatever. And he did it. Like, he tattooed that whole day.
I
He
killed
was
it.
like, check this out. Killed it. Did it, whatever. And then the next day, he's like, bro, I fucked up.
I done fucked up.
Yeah, this, I'll show you guys. This is the I don't have any service down here.
No, it's pretty much a bunker down here.
So it was this big, colorful tattoo, like this big. Did the whole thing, and then I was like, I fucked up. Because now my wrist doesn't, and I done sold that lady all my Percocets, so I didn't
Yeah, those motorcycles they can be dangerous, man.
I
It's
just
scary.
got it back. I've been on it nonstop. Yeah. It
Yes.
didn't scare me at all. I was just like,
Scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Be
Because I'm the
more
one that
aware.
like taught him how to ride a little bit, like when he first started. And then I was actually down at the Iron Pony with my wife. We were getting like safety gear for my shit. I was getting like boots and whatever. And Lane calls me. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm down here in Columbus." She's like, "Josh wrecked his motorcycle." I'm like, "Is he okay?" Like, had me freaking out. I'm like, "God damn,
yeah, it was
Josh."
wild.
Dude, like, Josh is like my boy. Like, I fucking hate him, but
That's what
Josh.
sounds right.
He's like my brother. You know what I mean? Like,
So you guys seem like to have like a brother relationship.
anything that I can do to help him out, like I would always do it. And like it was incarceration, so I was there watching the concerts and shit. And I get a phone call from somebody else we know, and they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, is Josh okay? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's fine.
Right.
And she's like, no, he's not. He wrecked his motorcycle. And I was
Mentally?
like, get the fuck out of here. So I'm hammered at this concert. I hang up the phone, just hang up, call him. He doesn't answer. Call his girlfriend. And she answers the phone. She's crying. And I'm like, what's going on? And the thing was, I just wanted to know if he was alive.
Yeah,
if he was going to be okay. And she wouldn't. She was just like, oh, he's so fucked up. And I was like, is he alive? Like, you know, and finally she's like, he's banged up, but he's going to be okay. And I was like, fuck, you should have led with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dying right now
Right.
thinking that my boy is fucking dead. You know, and man, it was just like, and everybody around me, like, they kind of got wind of like what was happening. So like, there's all these people that are with me at the show,
Right.
and they're just like sitting there watching me flip the fuck out, like walking in circles around, like trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And like, if she just would have led with,
He's fine.
he's an idiot, he's fucked up, but he's gonna be fine, I would have been like, oh yeah, it's Josh, he's a fucking idiot. But I was like, oh my God, like,
Until you know.
is my fucking brother dead? Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
Right.
rough, dude.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, a broken collarbone and a messed up wrist and a little bit of road rash.
On my side that I
Easy day.
tattoo with. though,
Yeah,
like,
that's the bummer part. But it could have been a lot worse. You
Oh,
catch a
yeah.
tree.
Have you
Like,
ever
yeah.
have you ever broke your collarbone?
No, I've
The worst.
I've
It
dislocated
sucks.
ribs and bruised ribs,
Ugh.
so I don't know about the collarbone. but I
People-
know anything in this area
Yeah.
that like moves a lot.
Yeah, you don't.
It's not
you
good.
You don't realize how much you use your collarbone or your clavicle.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Solid.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you use it until you can't.
Yeah.
See, it was wild.
Yeah.
My woman she was incredible through it. Like, I'm over here in the hospital. I'm like, I gotta go to work. I'm like, I can't be fucked up like this. I gotta go to work. And she's like, calm down. She's like, you're alive. Everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're gonna figure this out. And I'm like, we're not figuring shit out because I can't go to work. And she, like, from all of like the road rash, my foot was like, I think my foot hurt worse than my fucking collarbone. And I would, like, 2:00 in the morning, I gotta piss. So I'm like standing up, all the pressure goes down to my foot. So my body's just like shaking, and I'm like in the bathroom trying to piss. And she's like standing there holding me up, and she's like, you got it. And I'm like, I like take a deep breath, start to piss, and then I let my breath out, my body starts shaking, and I'm just pissing all over the bathroom. And she's like, I'm like, I'm sorry. And she's like, it's okay, I'll clean it up. And I'm like, it's fucked up, you shouldn't have to clean it up. And then I'm like, okay. Start pissing again. And I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah. So like my foot was like the worst part because like just like my big toe was like cut in half, and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking miserable. But
So
she was amazing. She fucking killed it. She took care of me. I felt good. Like, if I broke my collarbone again, I know that it wouldn't be so bad because I got somebody that's gonna be there. Like, that's
You can do without the foot thing though.
fuck
Listen,
that. Yeah. She's like clipping my toenails and shit. And I'm like, just stop. I'm
before
like,
this happened, we went to Hawaii, and I punctured my foot on that.
Oh, that's
coral
right, you
and,
jumped
like,
off the-
yeah, and I
Yeah.
fucked myself up.
He looked, dude.
bad.
The water was so clear you can fucking see the coral. I jump and land in sand. He's like,
I didn't look.
he looks at these. There's like these 60-year-old ladies on the pier, and he like looked at them, and he was like,
I said, "Hey, you guys are beautiful."
"Hey,
Yeah.
y'all are beautiful."
Yeah.
Backflips off the pier right onto rocks,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
So
I'm like, dude, you shouldn't have been
my-
hitting on these ladies.
Yeah,
as
what
fuck as
happens.
you-
my foot was so fucked up, and it's the bottom of your foot. So like any time that
You
you
use
stand
that
up, all of the blood
occasionally.
goes to your.
Yeah.
all
I
the
left
blood-
him in the water.
All
I don't
of
play
the
with
blood,
sharks.
All of the blood goes down.
I
your
don't
foot,
play
and
with
it-
sharks.
So like most of the time when I get fucked up, Josh is there because he's a terrible influence when it comes to that. But like when it happens, he's always like, "Yeah, you're a fucking idiot." But that was when I could tell he's like, "Dude, I genuinely feel bad for you. Like I know this is killing you because I was."
He
like,
came up out of the water, and I'm in the water. We're like 100 feet out, and he looks at me, and he's like, "I fucked up." And I was like, "Are you bleeding?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, Swam away.
Sharks.
Get out his blood cloud.
no.
But out.
But the thing was like once we like you know, my healing process took so long because it's this giant gaping hole in the bottom of my foot or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, now you're just milking it. Now you're just milking it." And then he gets in his motorcycle accident. And he's like, "Bro, my foot." He's like, it like basically took his big toe and like ground it off. So like all of the blood when it came down to his foot, he's like, "It hurts so bad." And I was like, "Does it?
Oh yeah.
Does it hurt
does your
real
foot
bad?
hurt? Does
That's
it hurt?
so crazy." And then
And
he
I'm
was
like, mine's worse than yours.
and then he literally was just like, "All right, dude, I get it. Like now I understand what the fuck you were talking about." Like
That's brutal. Well, you realize how much you use your body parts that you like take for granted. I remember the first time I went like snowboard, like legit, like my friends took me out to New York, and I'd never been like. I thought I was like, well, yeah, I ride snowboard. I can snowboard. It did not turn out well. I literally hit my I'd go. I don't know, you guys snowboard at all?
I did, yeah.
So like I go toe side, and these hills are massive, and I went toe side like twice where I caught the back edge of my board, so like my back was facing downhill, and I would catch and just like it's like a slingshot, whoosh, whips you right over. I could feel and hear like the bones and like my tailbone and like my lower vertebrae like pop multiple times. I couldn't even sit like sitting down on a bed for like the next 2 weeks. I was just like, oh God, like, and every single time I'm like, oh God, take a shit. I don't.
what am I gonna do?
I do not want to sit down on this toilet. Like I can't do this right now. It would like bring you to tears. It's like the simplest things.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Dude,
fuck.
I broke my collarbone, like what he was talking about, and I remember the worst part about it was like laying down and sitting up because like you know when you lay
can't
down,
lay
pressure,
flat.
yeah, because you got you gotta lift your head.
The
You
bone-
can't lay flat. You
Well,
have to
the-
have some kind of incline.
the bones you could feel them do this for a while until they like mended together, so that sucked. But the worst was like you could feel a cough or like a sneeze coming on, and you're like, "Oh no, my life's over! Like this is about to hurt so fucking bad." Like,
like
you're just
ouches in between, like sneeze, ow.
yeah.
I can relate to that because
Yeah.
I've had some rib issues multiple times in my life. So
same.
like I like when you're like breathing or like you're like oh God, oh no. Oh no, I can feel it. Like a sneeze
Yeah.
is coming on. You're like, oh,
The worst pain
It's
ever,
like you always
dude.
start crying before it even happens because you know it's
yeah,
gonna,
you know it's about to be very.
Yeah, I can relate to
detrimental,
that
you know.
for sure. That's I haven't broken anything though. Tips. We were talking about tips before Chad took a little break.
Yep, sorry, I ruined it.
No, it's fine. It was good.
Just
The
the
motorcycle
tip.
story was good. I had wondered, because obviously I
Yeah.
saw that
We,
happen. So.
We don't expect tips. I mean, tips are fucking dope. Like we love them. Especially since the way the shops ran, it's not like a percentage system. Everybody does booth rent and whatever, So like, a lot of times in shops where like it's 50-50 or 60-40, like tips are what keep artists like thriving. It gives them that extra boost because they're not losing so much, from the shop fee or whatever. So yeah, we don't have that there, but still tips are dope because it's like a thank you, like, oh, like you put in all this time to design this and make sure it was like super well done and
Yeah,
This man does not fuck around over here.
With that being said,
He's
though,
trying all of them.
So it's like you're a bartender, okay?
Right.
You make an hourly wage and it's whatever. So that's what he was talking about, like the 50-50 thing. So
Yeah.
like if that's what that's what your rate is, like you get 50%, you have to give 50% to the shop. Our shop doesn't run like that. But when it comes to stuff like that, like the bartender, she doesn't live off her hourly wage. She lives off of the tips. So those people do too. So certain shops, they're all different. But like, obviously we'll never turn them down, but it's not an
if we don't get them.
it's not an expected thing.
Yeah.
And there is no like, people ask like, well, what's the right rate to tip at? And there isn't one. Like
No.
it's whatever that person feels comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you tattoo somebody and it's a fucking $800 tattoo and they're like, well, you have to tip 20%. Like, I mean, do you though? You don't.
No.
Like you just spent $800 and like I get it, like it's
Right.
there for the rest of your life, and like we appreciate the people that do that, but I would never look down on somebody for not
Yeah.
giving me a certain amount of whatever. Like tips are just that, tips. It's a tip for a reason. if you want to tip, you tip whatever the fuck you want. It's not like in the, if you're in the food industry where it's like, okay, this is what you should tip, 15, 20%, whatever.
Right.
That's necessary though.
In food industry, definitely. But like,
you gotta show your appreciation.
Yeah, but at the same time, like you said, like if you go out to a, you buy $1,000 dinner, like, I mean,
Well,
there's plenty of those out there.
yeah,
But if
for
you,
sure.
yeah, there's no. I mean, I'm
I mean,
sure as fuck. Trust me.
if you got the
I
money,
had to save up to get my tattoo done. All
I'll
right.
tell you this: if you have $1,000 to spend on a dinner, you got money to give that tip though.
Yeah, but in the same sense, like,
Tattoos are different,
right?
Like,
Did the waiter or waitress like work that much harder than the $50 dinner?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
no, like they did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So like,
I could see that
Yeah,
actually. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
And also it's like so kind of the same thing. If somebody comes in the shop and they're like, okay, this is let's just $800 tattoo, whatever. You tattoo them and like you don't necessarily expect that tip. But it's like in a restaurant, like what you were saying, like if it's a high class place, like, okay, I have that person is buying that $1,000 meal. They probably have that money to tip because it's a meal.
sure,
They're going
yeah.
to eat 3 times tomorrow. But tattoos are not like that. People save up money to get that. So it's not like everybody that comes in the shop, they're just like, all right, cool, here's $800 that I just had been sitting on forever. Like they worked and they saved that money up. So it's not expected the same way that you would take it to yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but also
I'm confused by like.
I think it's all what it is. Like, but at the same time, I look at it like, the bigger tattoo I have, the more money I spend on it. But particularly if it's something that's, a tattoo should be, a tattoo to a lot of people is very intimate and special to them. And like this piece of, it's just artwork.
Yeah.
Obviously some people go in and get a vacation tattoo and, it was whatever, it is what it is. But, I look at it, it's like, man, like this is a piece of artwork that like this person has like kind of like given me, in a sense, like literally given me.
Mhm.
But like, so like, I really want to be like conscious of, I really showing appreciation. I think that's like, maybe you get that from the person. It's not necessarily the dollar amount, but it's the what they do and the appreciation, like that they show you through that. Like,
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I know, like for me at least, like I don't charge people for my like design time. I charge you for the time that I tattoo you.
Mhm.
So like I have a fucking life, and I think people get that twisted as fuck. But like, I mean, I have things to do, like, so when I'm sitting up at night until 3:00 in the morning designing somebody's tattoo or, whatever it is, like I'm not charging them for that because that's my job. I signed up for it. And if it takes me 6 hours and it takes me till 3:00 in the morning to get the design done to where I think that it's right, then that's what it is, but they don't need to know that because that's not their job. It's my job. I signed up for it. And, you make sure that your hourly rate or whatever it is you do, like, you're getting what you feel is necessary for the tattoo, but like, it's hard to include a tip into it. You just kind of,
Right.
I've tattooed people. I've charged like I charged this. This actually happened. I charged this dude $500 for this tattoo. He tipped me $500.
Yeah.
And he tipped me $500 because when he looked down, he was like, "Oh my god, dude, this is so much better than I could have ever pictured it." And he's like, "You met every expectation I had," and he just appreciated it so much that he was like, "I know that you're charging me this, but this is what I feel like you deserve."
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, some of my favorite tips aren't money.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
your
that.
bobblehead or whatever you got.
Yeah.
Like one client, he ordered me like these 2 shirts, and they were like some nerd shirts, and I was fucking pumped about that because I can make money, but for these shirts that I didn't even know existed, you went out of your way and you found them. Like, that was really fucking cool to me. So like, people give me action figures, and like this one dude gave me an old Transformer. It was his like favorite toy when he was a kid. And that meant so much to me because I'm like, dude, this is what like broke the ground of you becoming a nerd, and you want me to have it.
Yeah.
So I have this little toy up, Transformer toy on my booth because it's like, this dude loved this toy. It was his favorite toy, and now it's mine. So just little things like that. And it's literally shows me that they appreciate me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's it. Like,
so like the dollar signs isn't really there. That's not what it is. It's like the fact that you're showing me like you appreciate the effort that I put into this.
yes, that's it. Like
Right.
we charge what we charge because we're good at what we do, and it's there forever. Like people will be like, well, that's expensive. It's like you just spent $1,000 on a fucking iPhone that's going to last you 2 years. Then you're going to go buy another
Upgrade.
one.
The next one, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I'm going to tattoo you forever. But all of a sudden that $500 for that tattoo is too much. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And I get it. You know,
There's an edism in that. Our edisms.
Yes.
He always says, yep, they last forever. Guaranteed 3 days past dad, void if cremated.
That sounds like an edit.
I'm like, oh, fuck, Ed.
That's awesome.
That's good, though. That's really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I mean, some people like my client the other day, she brought me in. She knows that like I drink a lot of like Propel. So she brought me in a 6-pack of Propels and like a thing of cupcakes for the shop. People will bring in like food for the shop.
Yeah.
One chick, remember when that chick brought in she worked, her dad owned some rotisserie chicken place or whatever. Remember that she brought in a rotisserie chicken?
I don't remember that.
She brought in
Rotisserie chicken can be real good,
She
though.
worked for
Okay.
her dad worked for whatever place it was, and they brought it. She brought
Was
in
he the Colonel, bro?
No, it wasn't.
No, what?
They brought in maybe
Gerber
maybe
in Kidron?
maybe I don't know.
They
They
make
they
good
brought
check.
in
They
they
make
brought in
good-ass
like
chicken.
a rotisserie chicken,
That's awesome.
and people they'll bring us in like cookies like
Like for Christmas and stuff.
and like dude
Easter baskets.
yeah I was just gonna say that. Listen
for our kids.
listen
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Lance and Melissa,
Yeah.
they're the fucking dopest. All right. And like, so they're not only like some of our favorite clients, they're just good fucking people. So like they brought in, to the shop, they brought in Easter baskets because they know how many kids we got. So they brought in Easter baskets with some of, shit in it for all of us and for the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that shit like that is just super fucking cool. Like,
That's really neat.
you don't ask them. They appreciate us. We appreciate them, and they just come in, drop shit off like that, and that's cool.
Susan West.
Yeah.
She
Really.
I tattooed her, and she knows that I fuck with Jersey Mike's. That place is so damn delicious. I love it.
We were
And
just talking about that.
she went and like after I finished her tattoo, she's like, "Hey, I'll be right back. You gonna be here for a second?" I was like, "Yeah." Also, while she was tattooing me, I was bitching that Netflix didn't put The Grinch on Netflix this year, and I was like, I watch that movie
What the
for
hell?
Christmas all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I love that movie. And so I was complaining about that. She went out and got me $100 gift card for Jersey Mike's, or like 80 or something like that, and then bought me a copy of The Grinch.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
That's cool.
yo,
That's super cool.
yeah.
I tattooed her.
So I went and got Jersey Mike's and then
Watch The Grinch.
Yeah. It was dope, dude.
Last time we were on, I was talking about like the portrait, and like you're tattooing a dad, and it's like when you're tattooing a portrait of somebody that like passed away, it's like it's rough,
Yeah.
But that was Susan. It was her husband Ramey. But they brought me like a $40 gift card to Chipotle because I eat the fuck out of some Chipotle. But it's just little shit like that, man. Like it doesn't have to be money. It's just like
Hit me with some fillets.
it's
You know what I mean? Like,
you're trusting us
not
to,
cooked. Not cooked.
You're trusting us to permanently mark you for the rest
Right.
of our for the rest of your lives, And like we want to make sure that we do the best job. So like yes, money is dope and everybody loves it. I'm a giant fan. I'll never turn it down.
Right.
But at
Right.
the same time, like it doesn't have to be that. Like people
Right.
can show appreciation in other ways. I think that's what we're trying to get at. Like a tip is a tip, whatever way it comes in. And like you can be just as appreciative for a little thing that it's not even like a monetary thing. Like the Easter basket thing, like they just, because we've tattooed them so much, they just brought those into us.
Right.
And that means a lot to us
Right.
because it's like, damn, that was such a fucking cool thing to do. Like you went out of your way to make these, bring them into our shop and give them to all of us. Just to be fucking good people. And like that's what it is. Like
Yeah,
we
I
tried to, we're fucking mongrels, bro. We are a bunch of fucking idiots, but we try to be good fucking people, and we try to have good people as clients, and like, you know,
Yeah.
you work with the public, so not every person you tattoo is going to be a good person, but
Yeah.
Like these same people like that we've tattooed that like have lost like a child or something like that. When they come in, we'll be like, oh, it's probably just gonna be like $100, $150. But then by the time we're done tattooing, we're like, this is on me. Like this is, I know that this is something you can look down at and find peace.
Yep.
And there's no price tag on that. Like that's on me. Go ahead.
It's literally like a little bit of my time, and if I can affect you in that way, and I can do something, it's like, especially like Susan, for example. I fucking love them. I did a sleeve on her daughter Carissa. Like they're always in the shop. Like they come in just to hang out. Like they've got tattooed by everybody. Like we fucking love them. Like they're like a staple of our shop. So like I would do, once her son passed away, I did a little tattoo on her. I was like, you don't owe me anything. Like you've given me enough of your money. I know what this means to you.
Right.
Like it's not about me making money today. It's about you.
This is me finally giving back to you for putting up with all of our bullshit.
You got to pay it forward to your clients too.
Yeah.
Like, clients, they're always like, oh, thank you. It's like, hold on a second. Like, you've got so many tattoos done here. Like, let me say thank you. So I see them out and about. I'm like, yo, here's your meal paid for, and here's a gift card.
Oh yeah,
let me buy you a few drinks at the bar.
You see them at the bar, buy them drinks.
Like, thank you. Like, thank you for supporting us. And
Obviously you're not top shelf.
Right. Yeah. You're not getting that fillet, right?
Like, get that woman a shot of your cheapest whiskey.
Did you guys have like days where you had like when you first opened, like I don't know, like certain breast cancer?
Yeah, we did a benefit.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
So my mom
was
had breast
wild.
cancer, and she got all her treatments done at Cleveland Clinic, and like they're awesome the whole way through it. Like they took such good care of her. I'm like, I want to do something, so that's what we did.
Yeah, we designed, I think it was four or five different ribbons, and they were a set size. You couldn't make them any bigger. And you could change the color of them based on what type of cancer you would want. And we tattooed them like for free the whole day. And people were bringing us in food because like
awesome.
we went in and worked our asses off.
27 tattoos a piece.
Yeah, dude.
We each did 27 tattoos.
Like when you tattoo that many, you got to think about like you got to set up a station, and then you got to tear it down and clean it, and then set it up again. Like I mean, it was like. Holy fuck. So we went in pretty early, and then like we didn't leave till late as fuck, but we got everybody through. And I mean it was cool just to be able to like
there was a line far out the door.
And it was like
I remember about the video.
it was like when he first opened, it was like, in one of the early days.
That was such a
and I mean
long day.
we do a lot of like
Oh my
benefit
God.
shit for different people, but like the thing about doing benefits is you don't need to flex it all the time, because then it's just like you're doing it for clout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of shit that we do, but we just don't publicize it, because then when you do, it's like,
It's not
well,
what
the
it's
only
about.
reason they did that is because they want
So
the
they can brag
publicity.
about it, yeah.
I don't give
Right.
a fuck about that. Like, if we
Right.
do something cool, it's because we want to do
What
something
did we end up
nice.
making off that? How much?
Almost $2,000.
$2,000
And we tried to give it to the Cleveland Clinic in cash, because we just had a big like donation jar that people were just putting money in, and they want to take the cash. So they're like, we can't take cash. I'm like, well, I wanted to go here. Like, what can we do? And they're like, we could take it on Visa gift cards. And I'm like, okay. So we just put it all on Visa gift cards and
To
took it
help
out there.
like
Yeah,
Like,
it was
people
basically
get to and
families,
from
it was
there.
one of
help,
those
like-
things where like if you send money to the Cleveland Clinic, who knows what Cleveland Clinic that's going to go
Right.
to.
Yeah, because they said we could
Right.
do the cash to like the overall Cleveland Clinic. I'm like,
No.
well, this is our hometown. I want to
Yeah.
go to this one,
Right.
and so that's what we did, and it helped patients get in for chemo
And that
All
was
that
like
stuff.
gas and shit like that to
Yeah,
get back
that's
and
awesome.
forth.
yeah, like buy wigs and shit
blankets,
like that.
wigs.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like all the tattoos were free, but you would tip, and whatever you tipped, that's what we would donate. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like whatever people tip, that's what we
That's
would
It
give.
was
It's-
cool. It was
It's so cool to see. Like obviously you started out with you guys talking about how your family, and obviously we've talked to Ryan for a couple hours, previously, and seeing that relationship, and you can see it in, you guys in the shop and what you're doing and the people that are connected to it, and just seeing that that community, I guess. You know what I mean? And it's like you think, how you talk about like, oh, like I'm not allowed to do this because it's bad because tattoos are the devil, and then you realize like to now to what you guys are doing, and it's just it's really awesome to see. And I mean, I don't know how long you guys we're already. It's over 3 hours.
Wow. An hour a piece.
So I mean, maybe we just need to we just hang out again sometime. But I really appreciate you guys coming. I can't think of maybe that's what it is. I can't think of a better note to leave it off on. The community you guys are building, and you can see it. Everybody that people are like, oh, where'd you get your tattoo? Oh, Ryan. They're like, oh, dude, he did this, or oh, I know, or Josh. Oh, Josh did this fucking sweet. It's so cool to see what the impact you guys are having on the community, and obviously that's directed and intended as it seems. So
man, dude, we're just here to do the best work that we possibly can to the people around us. There's a lot of places, a lot of different shops, and a lot of different areas. This is where we live. This is our home. Like, we want to make sure that the people here can get just as good a tattoos as you see online from California, or people think, this is our place. Like, we want to make sure you get that shit, and we want to treat everybody like family, because we're a family. Good people want good people,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
It's fun.
Appreciate it.